Hi beautiful souls, welcome to my channel Elle's Temple. My name is Elle, I'm a goddess guide and intuitive tarot reader. Welcome back to my returning viewers. Welcome if you're new here. I'm so happy to have you all here. I hope you guys are all doing well wherever you are in the world. So today's reading is going to be all about the breakthrough that's coming for you. And we're going to be taking a look in the first part of the reading using the tarot. We'll be taking a look at what is closing out for you, what cycle is ending, what might be coming to an end. This could be an ending that you've been navigating for a while, or an ending that you are in right now, or an ending that you kind of sense is coming up in a way that you know, maybe something that needs to close out. It could just be a part of your identity, a part of yourself, an aspect of yourself. It could be a certain situation in your life. So just trust your intuition with that one. Sometimes when things end, it can affect like multiple parts of our life, right? Like sometimes when a certain part of our own selves can die, in terms of like if we, for example, have been struggling with something like low self-worth, or not valuing ourselves or our time or our energy. And when that part of ourselves finally closes out, when that cycle of not valuing ourselves closes out, then that can have a knock-on effect in terms of different situations in our lives where people have maybe been taking advantage of that, where that can also close out. So it may be that where we're looking at what's ending, what cycle is closing out, it's both something that can be internal, but it can also play out externally as well. And then the next part of the reading, we'll be taking a look at the breakthrough that's coming as a result of that ending, as a result of that cycle closing. And we'll be using both the tarot, and I've pre-pulled some oracle cards for each of the piles as well. So to introduce you to the three piles, if you are drawn to trust the seasons with embracing change, cycles of life, transition and growth, you'll be pile number 1. Timestamps will be below as always. If you are drawn to the Great Mother with surrender to the mystery, fall into her arms, you will be pile number 2. And if you are drawn to the Sacred Union with beloved within, inner and outer relationships, you will be pile number 3. Okay, my love, so pause the video if you need a little bit more time to choose which video is most calling to you. Sorry, which pile is most calling to you. It may be that there's more than one pile that you feel drawn towards today. There may be messages across the piles that you just need to draw on to create your reading. So just trust your intuition and see what is drawing you in. Okay, my loves, I'll see you in your pile. Hi there, pile number 1. If you chose the Trust the Seasons card, then this will be your reading on the breakthrough coming for you. So I'm just going to start off with some channel messages that are coming through from this card, and then we're going to take a look at the tarot to firstly have a look at what has been closing out, like what cycle is ending, what's been closing out, or what is in the process of closing out, or what may be coming up to close out for you and your life before this breakthrough is going to come through. And then we'll take a look at a bit more of the tarot and also the oracle cards I've pre-pulled to see what is transforming, have a look at this breakthrough and how it's going to look in your life. So let's begin with this card, Trust the Seasons, embracing change, cycles of life, transition and growth. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm kind of, the thing that I'm drawn to the most in this card, I hope you can see this okay, is the contrast between the sun and the moon. The fact that we've got kind of the sun on this side and the moon on this side. And I feel like there's some sort of transition from living a more, say, solar focused life, perhaps a more maybe masculine life, a more yang life or lifestyle, or kind of like, perhaps being more career driven, for example, or more maybe using, kind of left brain more, using that kind of rational mind, logical mind, kind of more of your masculine energy, perhaps doing a more linear path. And that's shifting. What this sort of change or this cycle or this transition is for you is shifting from that solar energy into this lunar energy, into more of a feminine energy. And I'm also noticing how with the figures pictured here, we've got, it looks like Maiden, Mother, Crone. So for some of you, it could be, the maiden is sort of on this side where the sun is. So it could be that during your kind of maiden years, like regardless of how you identify, perhaps just more in your youth or in your 20s or even into your very early 30s, you kind of lived that more solar focused life. You were more focused on kind of, putting yourself out in the world, kind of making an impact, sort of, you know, perhaps like solar plexus kind of related things, like, you know, confidence and ambition and things like that. And like I said, it may have been done in perhaps a more masculine way, or just using that, you know, really relying on that kind of solar energy and more sort of left brain energy, more logical, rational energy. And I feel like what you're shifting towards is more into this like feminine power, and moving more, perhaps even if you're not the age that is, you know, would be a crone. It's like you're moving into a more of a phase of your life where you're drawing on that kind of like crone wisdom or feminine wisdom, the kind of lunar wisdom. You know, you're going through more of a transition where you're connecting more with your intuition, more with like the cycles of life, being more in tune with your own cycle, being more in tune with your own energy and the fluxes and flows of all of that, and how that can wax and wane, like the moon. Yeah, being kind of more connected. I'm hearing like astrology even, so maybe for some of you, you've been connecting with the moon cycles, the, you know, the transits, things like that, the phases of, you know, all the planets and their transits, and all of that, and how that can affect your energy, or how that can affect your mind, or, you know, your what you kind of want to work on for that month, or whatever it might be, your intentions and things like that. Yeah, there's something big about cycles, kind of tuning into like your own personal cycles, your own personal rhythms, as well as like the wider cycles of nature, the wider cycles of, you know, even just like the natural seasons, you know, maybe even the connecting with the wheel of the year, things like that. There's a chance, if you're on my channel, you may follow, I do blog posts about the wheel of the year. I occasionally do readings about, you know, the kind of seasonal shifts. So chances are, if you're already on my channel, you're kind of somewhat connected with all of that, or you're perhaps interested in it, or starting to be interested in it. But I feel like that is something that is shifting, where there's it could be that ending that's happening, because for this breakthrough to happen, we are going to be taking a look at like a cycle that's closing out, or an ending that's happening. And I feel like it's this perhaps more sort of solar focused energy, or like kind of perhaps being out in the world in some way, and you're kind of maybe potentially withdrawing your energy a little bit, or going within, you know, listening to that like inner wisdom, inner emotions, that kind of lunar wisdom, connecting with the moon, connecting with your kind of feminine side, maybe even your creative side, that kind of right brain side, and starting to maybe like shift towards living, if not fully from that place, at least kind of incorporating it a little bit more, maybe, so that, you know, like this figure in the middle, you're kind of drawing on both energies in your life. So let's have a look at, that's just kind of what came through from when I pulled the card, what sort of channeled through. But let's have a look at the tarot now. We're going to start with some cards over here to take a look at what's ending, what's closing out, and then we'll look at what the breakthrough is going to be, and what your life's going to look like as a result of something ending, giving you space thereby for a breakthrough to come through. So Spirit, what is closing out for pile one? What is closing out? Ooh, yes, I like this. Seven of Swords energy and the Star. Okay, so yeah, Seven of Swords, something, I feel like this is what I'm getting from this card, is like something to do with your mind tricking you. Seven of Swords can be to do with deception, trickery, sneaking, you know, it's kind of, can be a bit sneaky energy. It can be to do with kind of like sort of sneaking away from a situation, like kind of escaping a situation, like maybe perhaps not with the most integrity necessarily, but it can also be a card of strategy, a card related to being very wily, very strategic, very like mentally astute, very like kind of, you know, having to kind of you know, be very careful about how and when you act, kind of thing. So I'm getting that this could be, you know, maybe, you know, with your career, the career path you've been on, you've had to be very strategic about the roles you chose, or within your company, there might have been a certain culture within your company that was a little bit sneaky, a little bit backstabby maybe, and you had to kind of watch your back and kind of like outmaneuver people, or kind of like work out where you stood with people, or something kind of like that. Yeah, it's like you had to be very boundaried as well. Like I'm just noticing with the suit of armor this figure's wearing, and it's like underneath, it's like even their legs are armored up underneath this skirt. So it's kind of like, yeah, even if you had to appear a certain way, like, oh, I'm not really like hardcore, like underneath it, really you had to kind of be quite armored in this situation that's closing out in the past, or in something that you're kind of in the process of closing out now. This is something that either has ended, is in the process of ending, or may be imminently ending, but not in the sense that like this should be a huge shock to you. This should be something that like you're kind of perhaps aware is up on the horizon. If it's something that hasn't happened yet, it's like you kind of know that there's something going on. You know, this could even be that the situation that closed out was something, you know, maybe a bit deceptive or a bit like sneaky on the part of, you know, if it was a workplace situation, or, you know, something where you had to kind of like defend yourself against someone or something. You had to watch your back. You know, it just looks like they're kind of like sort of sneaking off from a situation. They're kind of looking over their shoulder. So maybe there was something where you always felt like you had to look over your shoulder. You always had to feel, you know, you always felt like you had to watch your back, maybe around certain colleagues, or just the kind of toxic culture that was in the workplace or something is kind of what's coming through. And then we've got the Star card. So I feel like the Star can be to do with destiny, but in this situation, I'm kind of picking up something related to healing, emotional healing. I'm sort of getting with the water coming down, and then all the flowers. It's like something. This is very kind of feminine energy compared with this energy, which is quite, feels more masculine to me. It feels sort of a bit defensive, a bit, you know, there's a lot of straight lines. It's very kind of linear. It's quite strategic. It's related to the sword suit, which is related to the mind, the element of air. So it's, you know, how you think, how you strategize, you know, yeah, the brain, all of that, like that rational brain. And then this card's very like, there's just all this fertility and growth. That isn't necessarily the meaning of the Star card, but, you know, this is what's coming through on this particular card, on this particular Star card in the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. It's just very fertile. It's very abundant. There's all this water that's kind of flowing down from like this sort of starry universe. I feel like there's going to be a bit of emotional healing that's coming through from some sort of situation where maybe you had to leave it. Maybe you've had to kind of, you have had to walk off. You have had to be quite strategic and watch your back and kind of like try and get out of a situation because it wasn't really working for you, and you're in the process of going through some kind of healing as a result of that situation. Let's go a little bit more. Spirit, can you give us a wee bit more about the Seven of Swords? What was this? Nine of Pentacles. Okay, yeah, something related to work, I feel like, and building wealth. The Nine can be to do with independence. Like Nine of Pentacles can be to do with, you know, becoming financially independent, becoming, you know, getting to a point where you feel relaxed about your wealth and your income, and you can kind of, you know, almost like semi-retire if you like, or you've just got a lot in savings, or you've got enough to kind of live the sort of lifestyle that you want. Yeah, you can be sort of fully financially independent. So this Seven of Swords was related to something related to, yeah, your money, your wealth, your income, your workplace, how you were kind of getting your money. Maybe this was something to do with, like, it could have been, for example, a promotion that you were offered or something, and then it fell through. Like the company did a bit of a sneaky on you. They kind of walked away from something that they initially said they were going to do, or something kind of like that. There might have been something related to some money you thought you were going to get, some income you thought you were going to get, some kind of, you know, maybe you thought, oh, this is great. I can finally be financially independent. Like I can pay off, I don't know, I can pay off my house, I can pay off my mortgage, whatever it is. You know, I can go on more holidays, or, you know, maybe if this is a business thing, this could be like a business deal. Maybe if you're in business for yourself or something like that, it could have been like a deal that there might have been some sort of strategizing going on, and related to how you were going to kind of make this money, how you were going to kind of build up your wealth. But I feel like it's something that I'm just sort of getting with this figure, the way they're sort of looking back over their shoulder. It's like it's something that wasn't necessarily very like all in the, okay, sorry, I'm just channeling messages through clairaudiently, and I'm kind of not quite understanding what they're saying. It's like it's not all clear, or it's like it's not up front. There was something that wasn't up front, or something that wasn't all clear, or something where you had to kind of like defend yourself with this person a bit, or you had to keep checking on something because it wasn't quite right. So it'll differ depending on your personal situation, but basically there was kind of something wily going on, either in your workplace, in your business, with a business partner, with an investor, with a boss, with a certain promotion you were going to be offered, with something related to some sort of wealth or income or source of money that you were trying to get. It just, yeah, is like not for your highest good, no, it wasn't everything that they were wanting to get from you. It's like it wasn't fully made clear. So I mean, for example, this could almost be like you were offered a promotion, and then, or a different position at work, and when you started doing it, it's like, oh, like they weren't clear in my contract about everything I was expected to do, and there was all these hoops I had to jump through, or actually the work ended up being really different from what they said because it wasn't clear on the contract, or something kind of like that. You get a little bit more. What is this? Spirit of Wands, King of Wands. Could be a creative project with the Wands energy being here. I feel like that came out in reverse. I feel like I want to keep that in reverse. Something to do with King of Wands in reverse. Like disempowering situation. I feel like it's like, yeah, you didn't have the power, you didn't have the upper hand in this situation, you didn't have creative control, creative power. This is bringing to mind the most recent reading I did on the crossroads. Which pile was that? I think it was pile 3. So you may have come from that reading. You may have listened to that as well, and you may have been pile 3. It doesn't matter if you weren't, and it's not to say you have to listen to it necessarily. It's just that's what's coming through, because there was a situation in, I think it was pile 3, that was to do with like creative control, and like one path, I think it was staying on the current path, there was like another person who they had more of the creative control. It was like a boss, or like a like a producer or a director or something, and they held the reins, they had all the creative control. Whereas like the other path, which was more you stepping into your power, if you chose the other path, the other option, it was like, yeah, you would have more creative freedom, more creative control. So this, yeah, that sort of scenario is coming back through here with the King of Wands being in reverse. It's like, yeah, you don't have the full creative reign, you don't have the full creative power. There's something a bit like sneaky going on. Maybe to do with like the business side of it, or something like that. I'm now seeing the star, actually. That's interesting. It's like, yeah, you couldn't be the star of the show with this situation that's closing out, or that's ended, or in the process of ending, or about to kind of end, because you've realized there's something a bit sneaky going on. It's like, yeah, you couldn't have full creative control, you couldn't take the reins, you couldn't be the star of the show in this sort of scenario. Let's have a look. What is the creative breakthrough? Yeah, 10 of Wands. I'm going to put this up here. I feel like this is still connected with what we're talking about. It's closing out, because tens are to do with the end of a cycle. Yeah, they're to do with the cycle ending, and we've got this Wands energy again. So it's like, yeah, your creative energy, your creative fire, your passion for life, your impetus, your it's that kind of sacral chakra energy. It's like, but 10 of Wands can be the card of burnout. So it's like something that you've sort of put into a situation, something that you've invested in a situation. It's like you've got to burn out point, or you've been carrying too much of this project or this job or whatever this is. You've been carrying the burden of it for too long, and it's like getting to a point where it's like backbreaking. I feel called to read the 10 of Wands card from Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. Love this book. The guidance in the book is really, it's really great. Okay, our goddess stands with her wands all gathered, but her back turned on everything else. It's a hardship to hold that many wands, as she can't do anything else. She's trudging along through thick brush. She can't see ahead because of how much she is carrying. She's proud of her burden, as evidenced by her expression and crown. These wands are her crosses to bear, but she doesn't realize she is better served not to carry them through this crazy wilderness. She is doing so unnecessarily and therefore feeling overburdened. She creates a wall or fence with the wands in the way she moves. She carries them all because she identifies with their power. What ego work can you do? Do you let the things you own define you? How can you let go of things to let integrity in? How can you lighten your load right now? Where can you find support? We will always have responsibilities, but how can we deal with things in a way that doesn't prevent us from closing ourselves off from the world? And the keywords are responsibility, release, burden, and false ego. Interesting. Yeah, I'm getting shown a vision of, I remember years ago in London when I was working in corporate, and I was just starting to kind of question things about that path. And I remember I was in a cafe or restaurant, and I remember hearing the two people at the table next to me having this bizarre conversation that was like a competition almost about how stressed they were and how much kind of burden they had on their plate, about how much responsibility they had at work and how stressful it was and the projects they were carrying out. And it felt very competitive, and in a sort of a, like, not aggressive way, but just, you know, there was this sort of a like, well, my job's more stressful than yours almost. It was this bizarre sort of, ego play. And for some reason, when I was reading that out, Spirit showed me that scene again. I never really forgot it. I don't know why. It was just really funny, because I think in that moment when I was there, I probably used to do that. I know that, like, sometimes when you're in certain positions, you can kind of get a certain sense of power from, like, how busy you are and how much burden you have and how many responsibilities you have, and look how stressful this job is, look how stressed I am. Like, it's kind of becomes like a power thing, or it becomes like a mantle or a status thing, or it's sort of an ego thing. And it could be that is something that's closing out for you, where it's like your ego isn't kind of in the driving seat anymore. And ego is connected with the sun as well. The sun self, the solar self, is connected with our ego self. And the ego self, I feel like, has been wanting to shine and be like center stage and kind of have a certain level of power and responsibility and all of that. And kind of be the star in a way. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, except where it's got to a point where, like it was saying in this card, there's some dense brush to walk through. There's a wilderness to walk through here, and you're carrying too much through it. It's actually become a burden. All of that stress, all of that responsibility, all of that trying to sort of strategize and figure out where you stand in a toxic workplace, or kind of like, work out what you're next, like, who am I gonna, what position am I going to get next? And the sort of constantly looking over your back and trying to protect your position, or sort of trying to make your work known, or be sort of known for, the input you've been putting in. It's like become too much. And I feel it's interesting, is right before I started filming this pile, as I was tuning into energy, I felt really tired. I just kind of feel for you, pile number one, it's like, it's just kind of this burnout energy. It's like, if it's not physical burnout, then it's creative burnout or mental burnout, with the swords energy being there as the first card that came out, as a cycle that you're closing out, something related to the mind. It's like something you've mentally identified with, something that you've mentally been investing in. You know, it could be this sort of ego self, the self that kind of like, yeah, like I need all these, you know, different projects. Like I need a lot of stress on my plate to feel good, to feel worthy, to feel like, you know, I'm belong, or that I'm accepted, or that I'm like kind of, I'm getting an energy of someone feeling like they need to prove themselves in some way. So, and this could be very deep. It could go back to some inner childhood wounds even, or, you know, something along those lines where there's a need to like prove yourself to get love, or to get admiration or success, or, you know, to be seen as this sort of star. It's like you're carrying so much to kind of like, yeah, to prove yourself essentially. And yeah, that cycle is closing out. It's like, it's too many wands to carry. It's too many burdens, too many projects, too much stress. Yeah, it's like there's something, that needs to be let go of. It's like, in order to kind of like rewild yourself and kind of go through this wilderness journey and reconnect with your like lunar self, your kind of intuitive self, your inner self, there's a need to kind of let go of, like, I'm hearing like the outer trappings, like the outer things, the status, the things the ego identifies with, the kind of the stuff the ego is sort of trying to push you to perhaps do in order to get some sort of like admiration or acceptance from the outside, because it wants you to kind of go through that wilderness and find that from within. So let's have a look at, let's get some cards now for what the breakthrough is and what that's going to look like. What is the breakthrough for pile number one? That one as well. I like that one. So we've got 3 of Wands. Yeah, envisaging a different future for yourself. And I feel like I'm just seeing all the green here, the green dress and the green plants around, which is connected with the heart chakra, which I feel like is like sort of living a more heart-centered life, a life that's like going in the direction that your heart pulls you. Yeah, and like kind of taking the time to kind of work out like where you're going, like what direction you're going, and like what would bring you pleasure, what would bring you happiness, like where do you want to kind of steer yourself. That's the breakthrough that's going to happen. It's like you're not going to be driven by the vagaries of like your ego self, or like your, or what other people expect of you, or like the company you work for, or any of that. It's like you're going to be more like clearer on what direction you want to head in, and what you want to create. You know, Wands is all about creativity and what you want to create in your life. It's like, what do you want, you know, what do you want to create in your life? That's the breakthrough you're going to have. That's very exciting. And also living kind of a life of your dreams, living the life that is authentic to you, that you want to see in your future, and then taking the steps towards that. And then we have 7 of Pentacles, which is an energy of patience and diligence, and like, you know, just continuing to kind of sow those seeds, to keep watering them, and then eventually they'll flower. I just love how many sunflowers are in this particular 7 of Pentacles card, and how much sort of golden energy there is. It's very abundant, it's very bright. And then we've got the Empress as well, so like, which is exactly coming back to, looping back to what I was talking about at the very beginning with this lunar energy, and this, yeah, that is the feminine energy. The Empress is that living from that more feminine place, creating abundance for yourself from that more feminine place, from that more sort of magnetic place, from a very grounded place. It's very, yeah, it's very creative energy, very creatively fertile. So I feel like this transition that you're going through may look like going from something that is, yeah, where you've maybe gotten a bit burnt out. It's maybe been more like mentally or left brain driven, like I was talking about at the beginning when I first pulled that card, to being a lot more like feminine and intuitive and right brain and like creative, very creatively abundant, because you would have closed out this like burnout energy, or this like, yeah, creative burnout, these sort of burdens. And you're going towards what you want to. You're going towards what your heart tells you to go towards. And it is going to be a bit of a process. It's going to take time with that Seven of Pentacles energy, but it's like you're prepared to kind of, yeah, with growth. They're drawing my attention to the word growth there. It's like you're prepared to kind of put in that work to see what you want to see in your future, to what, like, you're putting your energy towards what you want to like fertilize and water and tend to and grow, and then that is going to grow for you into this like beautiful like abundant land, like really this sort of life that's just like really supporting you. And also that you really love. There's a lot of green energy here, and I'm just noticing the symbol for Venus, which is planet of love. So it's something that it's this sort of life or lifestyle that you're gonna really, really love. Yeah, really beautiful. Let's have a look at your oracle cards now. So we have got formation, beautiful. We have got the Thinking Man, card number 46, and we have got Inner Peace. Yeah, so I feel like this is kind of confirming a lot of what I was saying. It's interesting, we've got the 46, which is in numerology reduces to 10, and I spoke about 10 being the end of a cycle with the 10 of Wands there. Actually, I feel cool to put that here. I feel like that's kind of what's closing out, and then this is what's coming in. This is the cycle that you've got in the process of kind of closing. I'm just seeing this as like some sort of formal institution with the kind of the archways in the background. It's like this could be a workplace, it could be university, it could be like a formal way of doing things. We've got the Thinking Man, so it's that more kind of, again, that masculine energy I was speaking about at the beginning, with the kind of the shifting from the soul energy towards a more lunar way of living, or a more intuitive way of living, shifting from sort of the mind, Seven of Swords energy, you know, having to be very strategic, having to kind of use your mind a lot, having to think a lot about what you're doing and, you know, where you're going, and kind of rationalizing and kind of figuring things out a lot. Yeah, perhaps a more linear path, or a more sort of formal path towards forming a more creative path that's more true to yourself, like actually envisaging where you want to go, and then you know, taking the time out, maybe trusting the seasons, trusting the cycles and things, trusting that like you can't always be kind of like go for something to kind of form and evolve. Which is interesting, because it comes back to, I'm being drawn back to pile 3 again for the last reading, the Crossroads reading. It was talking a bit about like needing to take a bit of a retreat, I think, and like take time out and like have solitude and have time to kind of allow some like new creative ideas to come through. So I'm definitely picking up someone who was previously listening to that might well be here, but yeah, there's something that kind of that wants to form here. There's something that is coming into formation, that once you've kind of closed out this like perhaps more, like I said, rational or ego driven, and I don't mean, when I say ego driven, I've mentioned this before, so for those of you that have been on my channel, you probably know what I mean when I say that, but in case you haven't, I don't mean like, I'm not saying this in any judgment or any sense of like, oh, you're so egotistical, pile 1, like you're just totally driven by ego concerns. It's not really about that. It's kind of like the ego self that wants to keep us safe, and that, you know, has all these aspects that have, you know, kind of all these defense mechanisms and everything, and Seven of Swords energy, defensive energy, or energy that like thinks it needs to be strategic, or you know, whatever it might be, that's built up because of like I said, childhood conditioning, or certain things that have happened over the years, or you know, trying to keep us safe, you know, trying to sort of look at over our back, and like, you know, the ego is there to protect us. And that's good to an extent, as long as it's not like stifling our growth, and as long as it's not kind of stifling that like feminine wisdom coming through. Like with this card, it can get to a point where the ego's concerns can sort of drive us towards like, you know, being completely burdened and completely burnt out, because it's like you sort of feel like you have to do this thing. It's like, well, I have to, you know, even though this company have kind of, I don't know, done the dirty on me or something, like they've kind of, you know, reneged on a contract, or they've you know, shafted you in some way, or they've not stood by you in some way, or something's kind of happened or something, and it's like you don't have the support that you need, but it's like you somehow feel like, oh, I've got to hold it all together, I've got to keep delivering, I've got to keep, you know, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily loyalty, but like kind of a sense of like a pride in that, I guess a pride in like the amount of burden that you've been holding on to. Yeah, something that's your soul kind of really deeply wants you to kind of put down, because it's not really serving you with where your soul's calling you to go. There's something here that wants to form. There's something that's coming organically, like coming into formation, a new vision, a new goal, a new dream, a new creative dream that wants to come through. And I feel like this more sort of lunar driven way of living is going to bring you a lot more inner peace. It's going to be a lot calmer, a lot more peaceful, a lot less burnout, a lot less stress, maybe a lot less like looking over your shoulder, kind of needing to kind of strategize and be really kind of on the defense, like kind of really armored up, you know, ready for someone to attack you, or kind of like come in and steal your job, or steal the kudos for the job that you did, or something kind of like that. It's like, yeah, this is a lot more flow, a lot more peace. I feel called to read from the formation book. I feel like there might be something in here. Yeah. Allow a situation to unfold in its own time and space with minimal interference. It's going to get better. The process of self-discovery deepens and strengthens your spiritual connection to life, earth, and the universe. Expansion means deepening emotions, questioning your reality, and scrutinizing the meaning of life. Gradually, you will come to your own truths, and gradually you will let them go as you embrace even more profound realizations. Every precious, miraculous moment of your life has the capacity to transform you. And it's talking about how the insight with the sort of process on earth, about how in the beginning powerful transformation can look like chaos. So if an aspect of your world seems to implode and crash in on itself, or you feel like things are spinning out of control, remember this is a process, not the destination. Once the dust settles, a whole new world will be available to you. Yeah, so maybe with that like 10 of Wands, that cycle that's ended, that could be quite a big, like something's really imploded, it's crashed in on itself, some kind of 7 of Swords, like sneaky deception thing happened that like really threw you for a loop, or it's with that Spirit of Wands or King of Wands energy. I was talking about creative control or control something, and it's speaking about how if you feel like things are spinning out of control, so I feel like that's something that like your ego self, your identity wants to is sort of trying to hold on to this, maybe out of a sense of like wanting to keep control in this situation in some way. And I feel like there's this need to kind of like let that go, to allow things to kind of fall apart, to allow things to kind of, it looks really chaotic, and it looks like it's going to be this big, like, yeah, just this big mess in your life, but it's not that. It's just the process. It's like a whole new world. I feel like this Empress world, a whole new world is like awaiting you. So much more peace is coming for you once you can kind of like let this situation go. And I feel like for many of you, this is something that's kind of happened already, or you're kind of in the process of it happening right now. But yeah, just know that you're in the process. That's not the destination. This isn't the end for you. It's like the end of a chapter. You know, this is a certain cycle that you're closing out, and then you're going through some kind of transition towards a more like perhaps intuitive led life, towards a more heart-centered life, towards like living, you know, going in the direction that you want to, allowing something to form here that comes like sort of deep from within. This could be, yeah, just like I'm sort of getting a very earth-centered, like with all the nature. It's like a more, either this is sort of a more nature-centered way of living, or it could be like living closer to, living in line with your true nature, living closer in line with like, yeah, your truth, your true nature, allowing that to kind of come through. Let me see. I'm going to read from, I feel like reading from the Rose Oracle book about this card. I feel like there might be some guidance in here. That's where we trust. Embracing change cycles of life, transition and growth. Our disconnection from the earth and her seasons leads us to believe that we should be in full bloom all year round, that we should grow without leaving space to cut back. When we focus on the never-ending bloom, we forget the importance of all of life's phases. The rose, like all of nature, teaches us this every day. She's forever showing us how to embrace the ever-changing seasons in an ever-changing world. We're not meant to stay the same. Relationships aren't meant to stay the same. Life isn't meant to stay the same. Nothing on this planet is meant to stay the same. The seasons teach us that. Night and day teach us that. Time and age teach us that. Birth and death teach us that. We may return to a place, a person, but things won't be exactly as they were, for everything and everyone is forever changing. Nothing is static. The more, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I was just talking about control and the need to control, which came up in, I was channeling it for that card, and then it came up in this card, and it's coming up again. The more we try to control things and keep them the same, the further away from the flow of life and ourselves we get. Change can be scary, for it means surrendering to the unknown of being in the in-between, to being not who you were and not quite who you'll become. It requires a trust in the transformation, in the death in order for the rebirth to occur, and a deep reverence for all the seasons of our life. The more we resist change, the further away we are from who we're becoming. When we embrace change, we embrace life and nature and are forever becoming. And the soul inquiry is, how can you embrace the changing seasons of your life? Yeah, I love that. I feel like, yeah, there's some big change that kind of you're in the process of, or that's kind of wanting to happen, or is in the process of happening, that you're kind of maybe sort of still trying to hold on to, still trying to keep something the same in some way, whether that's a job, a contract, a creative project, some path of study or some career path you've been going down. It could be a person. I didn't mention the relationship thing because I didn't really pick that up very strongly in this pile, but for sure you could read that the thing that's closing out, and with the thinking man, that could be a person you were in a relationship with that is ending, and you're kind of perhaps going your own way, going in your direction now, in a different direction, like choosing which where you want to go. But yeah, I feel like whatever it was that this top row that's closing out, which for most of you I feel like is to do with, because I asked in relation to Seven of Swords and we got Nine of Pentacles as a clarifying card, so I feel like it's to do with what you've been like doing in order to like bring abundance about, or bring financial independence about, or wealth, or like your work essentially. And I feel like that's got to a point where, yeah, with the 10 there's something that's closing out, there's something that's ending, some kind of burden that the universe or your soul really wants you to kind of release it and put it down, because it's like too much of a burden for where you're going. It's like you can't carry all those wants through this like wilderness that you're going to go through. So there's a need to kind of surrender. I've got a couple more decks here just to get some, I'm going to get a crystal card. The for a crystal that might support you through this transition, and a ritual card as well. So while I'm shuffling, if this reading is resonating, if I can ask you to hit the like button and comment below, or even just leave me an emoji in the comment box. It really helps my channel to grow so much. I appreciate each and every one of you who's been doing that. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already part of my community. I would love to have you here. But let's have a look at, okay, oh, blue topaz, clear communication. Do you ever wish that you had the gift of the gab and could converse smoothly and effectively? With its association with the throat chakra and its crisp blue color, blue topaz helps you communicate in a clear, articulate way. Wearing blue topaz jewelry can enhance a teacher's ability to explain complex subjects in an easy to understand manner, and it will help orators speak with eloquence and effectiveness. Affirmation is the ability to speak with clarity and eloquence. Yeah, I'm kind of getting that this is connected with like your inner truth, and you're finding like, yeah, carving out space and finding time to kind of like hear the communication that's coming from within and kind of connect with your own truth and your own authenticity. With the blue being connected with the throat chakra. Let me get one more. What crystal would support? Oh, it's going on the floor. 1 second. Apophyllite. We've got Lightworker Apophyllite. Lightworkers born 1940s to 70s chose to incarnate during the dawning of the Aquarian Age to raise the vibration of the planet, expand consciousness, and herald in a new era. Apophyllite emanates a high vibrational frequency. It is often used in light work such as Reiki, lending it the nickname Reiki crystal. Lightworkers and Apophyllite hold the frequency of light consciousness and are here to uplift humankind and the planet. And the affirmation is, as a light worker, I stay anchored in my light as I help awaken the masses. Interesting. Yeah, so maybe for some of you, you are a light worker, and maybe this is like what's been closing out is kind of a phase where you've been kind of doing more like earthly, like with the Nine of Pentacles there, more sort of perhaps a role or a career path that was more connected with making money or finding stability, security for yourself, a certain level of like, yeah, that kind of solar ego energy or that kind of linear rational mind. And now you're being called in to perhaps step into something that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more spiritual. Wands can also be about spiritual energy as well. I didn't mention that, but yeah, that could be speaking about like stepping into a more of a spiritual role, like the role of being a light worker, helping to awaken people. So yeah, if you identify as a light worker, or if you feel like that is something that's coming through, it could be that this thing that's kind of closing out, even though it might look like yeah, it might feel really chaotic, and it might have been quite upsetting, or it might feel like something was being taken away from you or something like that. And you might be trying to, like with the control thing, you might be sort of trying to hold to it and resisting the change. But I feel like there's something here with this light worker energy. It's like there's some sort of other role that the universe wants you to step into. So it's had to kind of like come in and sort of maybe close something out, or something's had to end in your life so that you could like be prepared to kind of step into this role more. And it will bring you a lot more inner peace. It'll be a lot more peaceful, this new role. So let's get a couple of ritual cards. What rituals would support? Pile 1, we've got acceptance. Today I acknowledge, allow, and accept every emotion. Yeah, maybe doing mirror work. You can look up, I believe Louise Hay talks a lot about mirror work and like self-acceptance, speaking to yourself in the mirror, saying like, I love myself and all of that, whilst you connect with yourself in the mirror. So there may be a little bit of healing to do, which I did mention with the star card coming through here. So this situation could have happened to encourage you to kind of work on, yeah, your self-acceptance, self-love, that kind of thing. Let's get one more. Also maybe as well, accepting the situation. This could also be like allowing for the chaos, allowing for things to kind of like fall apart essentially, or what looks like it's falling apart. Often when things look like they're totally falling apart, it's actually something else that's being formed, or something else that's coming together for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. It just doesn't feel like that in the moment. It's only in retrospect that you can look back and see why, which I can really resonate with this part, because to be honest, if you have had some sort of situation where like you were in some, perhaps a corporate role or some kind of work role or a creative project, and then something got like, there was some sort of situation that you had invested in, that you'd been working really hard towards, and then, you know, you got, I don't know, say passed over for promotion, or you got restructured out of your job, or something like that happened, and it was really upsetting, and it feels really chaotic right now because it's like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? I can really resonate with that, because a similar thing happened to me after a 7-year corporate career. But like, and at the time it felt like, why is this happening to me, and this is terrible. But like, actually it led me to do like what I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it hadn't happened, if I'd like just kept going up that kind of corporate ladder, living this more like linear, perhaps more masculine life, corporate life. Definitely 10 of Wands, like, you know, a lot of stress and all of that, and I was definitely getting very burnt out and sort of trying to push my body through a lot. And now the way I live is a lot more lunar driven, a lot more like connected with my feminine, with you know, with the cycles, with the seasons, all of that, with you know, living in this more sort of Empress energy rather than Emperor energy. And you've got divine feminine as well, so card number 10, I honor and nurture the divine feminine within me. So yeah, for sure there's some kind of shift towards starting to honor and acknowledge your feminine self, your spiritual self. Yeah, to shift from that perhaps more masculine energy into this more feminine energy or feminine path. Maybe a path as a light worker, as a priestess, or something along those lines. Yeah, I feel like those are all the messages that I have for you, Vulnerable One. I hope that supported you in some way. All the best with your breakthrough, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love to you. Bye. Hi there, pile number 2. If you chose the Great Mother card, then this will be your reading on the breakthrough that's coming for you. So in this reading, I'm going to start off with some channel messages that are coming through from this card. We'll then take a look at the tarot. We've got the Goddess Tarot for your pile, and we'll be taking a look at what's ending, what cycle is closing out that's making way for this breakthrough to come through for you. We'll get a few more cards to look at what that breakthrough is going to look like in your life, how it's going to impact you, and then we'll take a look at a few oracle cards that I've got and finish up with a crystal card and a ritual card to see what rituals and crystals can support you through this breakthrough. So let's begin with the channel messages that are coming through. So the Great Mother, surrender to the mystery and fall into her arms. Okay, yeah, I feel like what's coming through is there's definitely... I'm getting a sense that there's some kind of calling here. There's some sort of a like divine calling that you're being called to surrender to. There's some process of evolution, some process of a higher awakening. I'm getting strong kind of crown chakra activations happening here with the, I don't know if you can see, these figures are a bit faint, but above her crown, there's just a lot of like light coming down, as if it's kind of spilling down from like heaven kind of thing, or from the, you know, from your upper chakras, from your higher self, from the goddess, from the universe, whatever you like to think of. It's kind of spilling down, as if it's coming through this sort of portal down into your crown chakra and activating your crown chakra in a big way. So through this breakthrough, or just before the breakthrough, or as the breakthrough is happening, depending on, you know, what your personal situation is with that, it'll be different for all of you, but you may be getting a lot of like epiphanies, a lot of realizations, a lot of crown chakra awakening and activation. This could manifest, I'm hearing like headaches. Some of you may be experiencing a lot of headaches, dizziness, even sometimes when you go through a lot of intense crown chakra activation, it can, you know, cause a lot of physical symptoms, but it doesn't have to be. It's just, yeah, I'm kind of seeing as well with this figure with their eyes closed, it's like you may be really going through a time where you're being called to really go within, to kind of retreat from the outside world, to really look within, to do meditation. Particularly if you are like with this call here to surrender to the mystery. It's kind of like if you're struggling to find clarity, if you're struggling to say, you know, get a sense of like you want to kind of maybe pin something down, to kind of perhaps make a decision onto something, to kind of know where something is heading, there's a sense of needing to just surrender and needing to just really, this is not a time to necessarily like use your mind or use logic or, you know, experiences that have worked for you in the past, where this has been something that you've known, and you can take like wisdom or knowledge from something that you've experienced and be like, okay, this is how I should apply it to this situation. No, it's like, this is really new. I feel like this is a new portal you're being called to. There's a need to really surrender, to really kind of like, I'm getting shown the Hanged Man card in tarot. For those of you that know tarot, it's really like a huge change of perspective, like a need to really just look at things in a completely different way, to really surrender. It's like you're going to, things may be turned upside down. You may feel like life is being turned upside down for you. You might be going through quite a lot of tumultuous energy potentially, and it may feel very difficult to kind of find your feet in that. But that's why there's this need to to really like surrender, to really trust the divine, trust where you're being guided, trust the wisdom that's like being activated, that's being like sent down to you. What will be coming through your crown chakra. You'll get a lot of clarity by meditating, by surrendering, by really like through even prayer, or just just moments of quiet, moments of contemplation, really going within, quieting the rabbit mind, the monkey mind kind of thing. And just really seeing what comes through from your higher self, because I feel like that's going to really like steer you in the right direction as you go through this big breakthrough. So let's get some tarot cards. I'll pop this to one side for now, and we'll get some tarot to see what has been going on. So let's see. So let's have a look at the cycle that's been closing out. What is the cycle that's been closing out? Connecting to guides of high sign, love of Pile 2. What is the cycle that's been closing out, or what's been ending? What's in the process of ending for Pile 2? Okay. 10 of Pentacles, but in reverse. Okay. Yeah, Pile 1 got a Pentacles card as well in the early stage. So for many of you, I feel like this is something related to work, something related to your stability or your security, or something that you've like planted, you've been invested in. It could be with this kind of archway that often makes me think of like a formal institution. So it could be a place of work, like a company, a formal institution, a place of learning, even a path of study, a course, a career path, something like that. That might have been very formal. It might have been something you had to do a lot of study to get to a certain point. I'm also seeing with the number 10, 10's at the end of a cycle. Pile 1 also got 10 as well. So I feel like there's a cycle that's closing out in relation to Pentacles energy, which is about, earth, resources, finances, stability, security, what you've been tending to on the physical plane, like your resources, what you've been kind of growing, what you've been trying to, the stability and the wealth that you've been trying to create. I feel like with it coming out in reverse, it's like that trajectory or that path or that what you've been holding to as what you've been, the thing that you've been wanting to give you that stability is something that is like being kind of uprooted is what I'm getting. It's like the tree is no longer kind of like in the ground, it's kind of coming out. It's like, again, it's that Hanged Man energy. It's like it's turning upside down. So you may feel very much like things have gone very topsy-turvy, like you're being kind of put into a process of surrender by the universe through something happening. Let's get a little bit more. What is the cycle that's ending, or what's closing out for pile number 2? 5 of Staves, which is 5 of Wands. Yeah, this card speaks about inner conflict and being like under pressure. In particular, in this particular deck, it talks about 5 aspects of the same woman, of the same person, who are fighting under a really hot sun. They're like fighting with each other. So there could have been a lot of inner conflict around this Pentacles energy, around what you were doing for money or stability or security or finances. What you were doing to create that for yourself, or to, the wealth, or like the type of work you were doing, or the career path you were doing. It may have created a bit of a pull, a bit of a like sense of inner conflict. You may have felt very under pressure, either in that job or that career path or that course of study, or trying to like even just make ends meet, or trying to like build up a certain level of wealth, to get to a certain level of security and stability. Why is this Five of Wands here? Let's get a little bit more. Give us a bit more, please, Spirit. Why is this Five of Wands here? What was the Ace of Wands? Okay, yeah. I'm getting that like there's like one either creative path or spiritual path, like one single kind of calling that is like that wants to be planted and rooted and tended to and grown, instead of like, whereas before I feel like with the path that you've been on or what's been going on for you, or the cycle that's in the process of closing out, is trying to like all these different things trying to compete. You know, Five of Wands can speak of competition, or things being in competition, things being in struggle with each other. And so there could have been, you know, like trying to, you know, do the work and sort of receive the status, or the, you know, sort of live up to people's expectations, you know, get the money that you need, as well as like, you know, meet your responsibilities, as well as trying to like have some time for creativity, as well as time for like your spiritual calling, as well as, you know, it's like it's all been under pressure. It's all been like everything's been competing against each other for you. And I feel like there's this single focus path that like is something that is calling you. There's a, yeah, I'm just strongly getting for most of you, or for many of you, it'll be a spiritual calling. You know, Wands energy can speak of spirituality and yeah, spiritual calling. For others, you know, Wands can be about manifestation, about creativity. It's very like sacral chakra energy. So it's like, can be related to like your passions. It's like there may be one passion that's really like dominating, that's really wanting to come through, that really wants your attention, that wants to be like heeded at this time, a calling that wants to be heeded. And then we've got Fortune in reverse. Wheel of Fortune with Lakshmi here. I'm hearing upright, so okay, not in reverse. So okay, so you could see this as what really wants to come through is this new beginning, that's going to give you a lot of freedom and lead to a lot of like a change in fortune for you. Potentially this could be, you know, with the figures flying on the bird, this could give you like location independence. You know, it could give you a new start where you can like travel a lot more, you can explore different lands, or you can just be free to kind of go where you want. It's very like elevated energy as well. And Goddess Lakshmi is about wealth, so it could be also a sign that there's a single path that wants to come through. There's a single option, a single calling or focus that wants to come through that will bring you a lot of wealth. And maybe you're sort of aware of this, but it's like you haven't necessarily been able to choose that path yet because there's been other responsibilities. You know, with the 10 of Pentacles, it's like you've been focused more on Pentacles energy rather than on Wands energy. You know, so on earthly matters, on stability, security, getting that paycheck, whatever it is, getting that stability, finding that. It could be home as well. 10 of Pentacles can speak of like, you know, the ultimate home. So maybe you've been just working really hard to like, you know, put a deposit down, or to like pay off your mortgage or something like that, or to buy your first home or something. It's like that's been the main concern. And so you've had all these sort of parts of yourself that are clamoring to be seen. And it's like, well, I've just got to focus on Pentacle stuff right now. You've had to kind of focus on one bit, and there's these other parts like creativity and spirituality and maybe even romance, or, you know, a soulmate relationship or something. I'm just seeing with the two figures here on the bird that kind of want to have some space, want to kind of be seen as well, or want to kind of have time. And you've had to sort of, they've all been in conflict with each other, or they've all been competing. And what wants to come through is this single path, which for some reason, which we'll get into in a bit, for some reason it's like you maybe haven't been able to choose that. And I think I feel like for most of you it's because there's been focus on that sort of the ultimate money part. You know, 10 of Pentacles is like the ultimate stability and security, the ultimate wealth, or the ultimate, you know, getting to a point where you're just, you know, everything is good in life, everything is sorted, everything is stable, you have like the ultimate home, you know, whatever it might be, of the ultimate career. you have money put away. It's like, it's good. You're sound. You're good, you know. And I just feel like with it coming out in reverse, it's like you're being called to kind of maybe walk away from that, what you've been building towards, because there's this conflict, there's this pressure that's building within you to kind of follow this more spiritual path that I feel like is going to lead to a lot of fortune or a lot of abundance, maybe in different ways. It may still include financial abundance, but it may be a lot of other abundance, like more energy, more time, more freedom, more location independence, something like that. But it's interesting, like these two cards, like this card feels quite, even though it's 10 of Pentacles, which is a fairly positive card, right? You know, speaks of good things and like reaching a certain comfortable point in life, but it's quite, energy is quite cold. It feels quite cool compared with this card, which is what wants to come through, which is really warm and it feels really passionate. It's kind of like this just feels a bit flat and a bit cold and a bit like, I'm hearing like emotionless or something. It's sort of like, yeah, maybe the path or the job or the whatever it is that's just a bit, or it could even be a relationship. I'm not picking that up very strongly for this pile. It did come out very briefly at the end for pile 1, so I'll, you know, you can certainly apply what's closing out if that's something that resonates for you, if you're in the process of going through a relationship breakdown. You know, sometimes the 10 of Pentacles in a traditional, I think in the traditional Rider-Waite and many other decks, it actually shows, you know, like a, you know, matriarch and a patriarch, like the you know, the grandmother and grandfather and their kids, and you know, all the stability they've built up that they're going to kind of, you know, a legacy that they're going to leave to them, kind of thing. And maybe that's been something you've been working towards with a certain person, or you know, if it's not just individually in your life, this could be impacting you and a partner potentially. And you may be feeling called to kind of walk away from all that stability, all that ultimate sort of life that you built up with them, because there's this pressure from within that's been building to start this new calling, to sort of to follow something that you're more passionate about. And I feel like it is going to bring you fortune. If you're worried that you're not going to get any stability from it at all, I don't feel like that is the case. I feel like it is going to create a turn in fortune for you. But it may be abundance, like I said, in many different ways, like, you know, spiritually feeling very fulfilled, feeling very passionate about your job and your day, or, you know, yeah, feeling a sense of, I'm hearing like being planted in the right place. This could be moving home as well. This could be like uprooting, you know, like I did see the tree kind of, you know, I sort of saw it as like being pulled out from its roots. So this could be like, you know, what's closing out, or what's ending for you, the cycle that's closing, is maybe leaving a home place, you know, somewhere where you lived, leaving your roots behind, leaving the country that you grew up in behind or something, possibly going somewhere new, flying overseas, going somewhere different, starting a new life, being planted somewhere different. It could be that. Let's get a little bit more. Let me get one more card for what is this cycle, or what's ending. Oh, yeah. Also, 8 of Swords. So for some of you, this may not even be anything so much that's happening on the outside right now. It may end up impacting things on the outside, but right now it could be actually something that's happening more on a mental level, more sort of in your mind, in your third eye, in your crown chakra. Kind of starting to like flush out like limiting beliefs. You know, 8 of Swords is about, yeah, like where there are things that have been kind of pinning you down or keeping you stuck, that are holding you back, and they're limiting beliefs that you've picked up over, you know, from your childhood, or over years of being alive as a human on the planet. As we absorb all these things, we make all these meanings about things that we've, you know, whatever we've done, if something we perceive as a failure, and then we're like, oh, that means this about me, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I can't make money, whatever it is, I'm not going to be successful or something. It's like, and over time that all builds up, and it ends up like keeping us stuck, and we think we can't get out of it. But really, with the 8 of Swords, the message behind it is that actually if the figure stood up, they would see that they're taller than the swords and they can just move them to one side and move forward. It's like kind of not looking at where you can kind of pull out these like roadblocks, I guess, that you've put in your own way. The energy behind Eight of Swords is kind of like self-sabotage, or where there's limiting beliefs within oneself that you can remove yourself through certainly doing that inner work, right? You know, doing the self-love work, the inner child healing, the shadow work, the, you know, past life healing if it needs to be that as well. You know, doing the meditations, the affirmations, the overnight, the self-concept work, all of that, you know, and committing to it and doing it, you know, as much as is needed until the limiting beliefs aren't getting in the way anymore. They're not holding you back from this calling, from this, this calling, this thing you're being called to surrender to, this thing, this passion, this, I feel like it's a very like mystical energy that's coming through. It's like a mystery, a mystical energy. It's like very spiritual, a type of calling, so, or it could be something very creative, but there's something that's kind of blocking you. But this cycle, this is something that's closing out. This period where you've been holding yourself back, where you've been staying stuck, where you've been like just looking at the ground in total despair and thinking, I can't do it, I can't move forward, I can't follow this bliss or follow my passion, or, you know, choose this one thing or whatever it might be, or surrender to this calling, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, or whatever the internal dialogue is that's going on. It's like you're starting to like look at that and examine it and be like, hold on a minute, where did I get these beliefs from? And you're standing up and choosing to start picking out each sword one by one, each limiting belief, to uproot it, to release it. Which could be, you know, with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, you know, I was seeing that as the roots, and I was speaking about it potentially being the home. You know, it could be like limiting beliefs that you picked up from your conditioning, from home, from early childhood, from, you know, from parents, or, you know, even ancestral limiting beliefs that you're in the process of removing. Just make sure everything's in shot. Let's get some cards now for let's get some cards to look at the breakthrough. So what is the, whoa, that came out fast. Okay. I hadn't even got the sentence out, but I feel like this card wants to be there because it came the way it came flying out the deck. So Two of Swords, I feel like there's a decision to be made here. And it needs to be done intuitively. You need to go within. As I was speaking about at the beginning, you know, I saw the figure with, you know, the eyes closed. I think I mentioned about going into meditation, going into contemplation, you know, being in a position of surrender and a position of like, you know, show me universe, show me a sign. I'm ready, I'm receptive, I'm listening. Like, what do I need to understand about this situation? You know, why is this happening? What are my next steps, kind of thing. There's a need to really, close your eyes to what's going on in the outside world. So if something has kind of ended or closed out in relation to something to do with Pentacles energy, so your work or money or stability, your home, a relationship, if something is closing out, it's like there's a need to kind of go within and kind of see which path you're being called towards. With all the water in the background, it's making me think, and this is very appropriate because we're in Cancer season at the time that I'm filming this reading. We've just had the Cancer new moon, and in my newsletter I put out the other day about the Cancer new moon, I talked about this is the time to be listening to your emotions, to listen to your emotional body and see where your emotions are guiding you, because there's some aspect of your emotional self that's been suppressed that wants to be heard. And I feel like it's something to do with this Five of Wands, this conflict, this inner conflict. There's been aspects of yourself that have been sort of pushed down, perhaps because there's been so much focus, potentially depending on your personal situation, but there may have been a lot of focus put on Pentacles energy, which, you know, particularly if you're in Western society, or pretty much almost anywhere now, that often is something that societally, culturally, we we prioritize, right? We tend to prioritize, we get conditioned to prioritize it. Being productive and like, making sure we're making lots of money or creating stability for ourselves in certain, that looks at it a certain way. And I feel like there's some aspects that are trying to speak to you. There's something maybe in your emotional self and your intuitive self, your spiritual self, your higher self, that wants to speak to you. It's like there's two paths. Excuse me. You may well be at a crossroads right now. So if you haven't already, I just put a crossroads reading out. My most recent reading is a crossroads reading with Goddess Hecate, so you may want to check that out if you feel called to, and maybe some additional guidance there. Let's go a little bit more. What is the breakthrough? So I feel like the breakthrough ultimately is that you are going to carve out some time to go within, to contemplate, to listen to your intuition, and choose the path that is intuitive to you, to make the decision intuitively, and choose something. I feel like there is going to be a breakthrough where you're going to be able to see, like, in your, not from the outside, like I said, it's not from kind of logic or what you know to be true or what's obvious or what society has taught you, or from past experience. It's like it's trusting, surrendering, it's going within and seeing what your intuition is showing you. Let's get a bit more. So what is this breakthrough? What would this breakthrough look like for... Wow, love, Venus. Okay, so for some of you, you could read this as a relationship thing, as love. This path is a certain commitment, a certain stability and security you built with someone else, and it's created a lot of inner conflict. And now you're making a decision about whether to kind of stay with that person, maybe, or stay in that marriage or commitment or whatever it was, or to maybe go a different way, with love being there. That could be related to that. But if it's not related to a relationship, and for most of you I feel like it isn't, it's more related to kind of perhaps your path or what you do in the world, your purpose, your calling. I feel like the decision that you make ultimately will be towards something that you really love. Something, like I said with the Ace of Wands, it's like there's something that you're passionate about, or something that you're here to do that you will really love and will bring you fortune. And it's like that will be the path that is like calling you the most. That will be the breakthrough where you'll have the chance to kind of start making inroads towards doing something that you actually really love. We'll get a little bit more. What will this breakthrough look like for pile 2? What will this breakthrough look like? Oh, beautiful, fertility. I love this because pile, there's a mark on it. Pile 2 got the Empress in the same position. So there's a lot of like, this very, which this card is, the fertility card is the Empress in the Goddess Tarot, but it's that very abundant, as I talked about with the Fortune card. There's a lot of abundant energy, very fertile, very creatively fertile, with a kind of orange energy. It makes me think of the Ace of Wands here, with the sacral chakra is the color orange. It's connected to that energy, which is all about passion and fertility, creative fertility, creative expression, doing something you're passionate about, being like really invigorated by your life. Creative growth, spiritual growth as well, and also from a very feminine energy as well. I feel like that Empress energy is like creation in that very feminine way, where it's that dance, it's that co-creative dance with the universe, where you receive the inspiration to create something and then you work in a very balanced way with both your masculine and feminine energy to kind of like bring it about, to bring it into energy. It's not something where you have to kind of like sort of push yourself, or it doesn't mean that it doesn't require work necessarily, but it's like there's a process of like being in more receptivity, being in a state of surrender, being in a state of like allowing the universe to support you, allowing the universe to bring you the people and the resources and everything that you need to kind of grow what you want to grow. Very beautiful energy. Let's get a little bit more. Oh, and King of Swords. Okay. This is very decisive energy. It's very like sovereign energy, very like clear, like wielding that sword of authority, of clarity, of like knowing exactly what you're here to do. Yeah, it's a nice balance really with this fertility energy. It's like having your masculine and feminine energies very balanced very well. Like having the sort of that, yeah, like clarity about what it is that you want to create, but then also doing that kind of co-creative dance with the universe where you're allowing that kind of fertile energy. You know, there's a certain amount of like when you say grow a garden or something, it's like you have to plant the seeds and you have to water them and everything, but then like there's a certain point when nature comes in and kind of helps grow things, where the human just has to get out of the way because it requires the sun and it requires water, it requires rain or whatever for something to grow and be nourished. And so I feel like there's a nice balance between your kind of masculine and feminine energies coming in. This breakthrough is going to look like a really nice balance. You're going to feel really clear. This energy is very like stable and very clear. Unlike this Five of Wands, it's kind of the opposite energy to the Five of Wands, where there's just all this pressure and confusion and competition and different parts kind of like pushing against each other. This is like, okay, I know what I want. I know what I'm going after. I'm very decisive. This is what I'm doing. You know, having that sovereignty, having that authority. You know, this could look like for some of you, this may be, I did speak about with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, that archway possibly being like an institution or a place of work, you know, place of study, something like that. And this path could be like choosing to follow something that you love. Maybe working for yourself with that King of Swords, like making your own decisions, like being in a position of power and authority where you can choose what it is that you want to grow. You can choose what it is that you want to fertilize and work on. Very yeah, it's very balanced energy, very balanced masculine and feminine there. I feel like that's the breakthrough that's going to come through, which is quite similar to pile 1. So there may be some crossover between pile 1 and pile 2. Let's have a look at your oracle cards now that I pre-pulled. So we have got efficiency. Interesting. We've got card number 8. Yes, with indecision. Exactly. I felt that with this. I'm going to put that in the middle. There's 2 of Swords here. There's a decision to be made here about something, about 2 paths or 2 people or 2 callings or something, two different parts of yourself that want to be expressed. And then finally we've got flow. Yes, that's that fertility, Empress, feminine energy coming into more of a sense of flow. I'm just noticing how green this card is. Also, it's giving me like very Empress energy, very fertile energy, something that wants to kind of grow here with this Ace of Wands. There's something that wants to be planted and then like that wants to flourish. Green is connected to the heart chakra, which is all about something that you love, doing something you love, or following a path you love, or being with a person you really love. I feel like whatever this change is, whatever this the cycle that's closing out, it's like Spirit kind of maybe has brought something into your life or there may be a certain level of chaos going on in your life right now, or a certain level of things being upturned, or things that you'd have previously invested in feeling like they're kind of being uprooted or pulled away, leaving you at this sort of crossroads of like, do I kind of try and keep that together or keep sort of trying to go down that path, or do I shift and go down this other way? And I feel like with the efficiency energy, it's like Spirit's finding the most efficient way, the quickest way for you to kind of be like rerouted towards something that is your calling, to do something that you would really love. and to step into this like energy of flow, because like this, it's interesting, the flows come out over the fortune card. It's like fortune, abundance of all things wants to flow to you. And maybe for some of you, you don't feel like that is going to happen if you choose this path, if you choose to do something you really love. So you've been sort of holding on to that Pentacles energy of like, oh no, I need to do it all myself. I need to like stay in this type of job or this career path to like make sure I, you know, create that wealth for myself. But it's like kind of trusting that if you follow what you love, if you follow your bliss, if you follow this calling, if you follow this path towards spirit maybe, or this creative path, it's like the right resources and people and things and abundance will flow to you. It's like you'll be in a state of flow. I feel very strongly you're being rerouted so that you can go, so that things can start to flow to you, so that your life can start to flow. Because I feel like maybe you've been in a bit of a, something's been blocked. You've been in like a, yeah, like you really need this breakthrough. It's like something's been, like I'm kind of seeing like in a dam, and I'm being shown like a stream with like a dam that's like the water can't flow. Like things that are wanting to come to you can't flow to you because there's too many things in the way, too much maybe inner conflict, too many limiting beliefs. Yeah. There's definitely this coming back to the surrender energy. There's a need to surrender. I'm going to read from the guidebook. And then I'll get your final cards. So, the Great Mother, where are we? Okay. Surrender to the mystery, fall into her arms. The Great Mother ushered you in when you took your first breath, and she'll be there when you draw your last. She knows how challenging life on earth can be, that at times being human can be painful, lonely, and confusing. That the polarity and separation can be difficult when your soul remembers the oneness of source, but at the same time it can be incredibly glorious and sweet. We often see things as either good or bad. When things go well, we make it mean that everything's okay, and when things don't work out, then perhaps we've done something wrong or have something to fix. We've forgotten that life on earth isn't like that. Polarity is at the core of the earth experience, and it's through the polar extremes that we grow the most. We're not meant to avoid the night, the shadow, the winter. This life is but a single breath in the inextinguishable existence of your experience as a soul. Hand over your worries, hurt, sorrow, fears, and doubts to the Great Mother. Lay them on her altar, return to the sureness of the soil, fall fully into her arms, surrender to the mystery woven through it all. Remember that while these extremes are difficult, they can also be magnificent. Their unrestrained joy is closer to grief than we think. And perhaps the more wildly the pendulum of your life swings, the more you can say, I have truly lived. And the rose transmission is, I'm ready to embrace the extremes of my life. I lay all that I'm carrying onto the altar and fall into the Great Mother's arms. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. I felt that like, you know, all the fears and worries and sorrows and everything with the Eight of Swords, it's like all these things that are holding you back, that you are worried about or fearing, surrender all of them. Just allow them all to fall away. Allow them all to like hand them over to your higher self, to the goddess, to the universe. Ask your guides to show you, you know, what your next steps are, or how you can move forward, how you can make a decision if you're not clear. I feel, yeah, I'm definitely getting a strong sense of like inner conflict and inner confusion about something, but there's a lot that wants to flow to you. I'm loving as well how much like how similar these two cards are with the kind of purple energy and the little, I don't know if you can see that, the goldy sparkles that are, there's like goldy kind of sparkles all over this card and this card, which is very like magical energy, very magical, mystical energy. And the purple is connected to, like I was talking about, the third eye chakra and the crown chakra, colors indigo and purple, which is very much that like spiritual sovereignty, the spiritual path. I feel like very strongly for many of you, or certainly for quite a few of you, there's a strong spiritual calling or a spiritual path that you're being called to kind of surrender to. Yeah, let's have a look at, we'll finish up. So while I'm shuffling this deck, if I can just ask if this reading is resonating for you, to like the video and comment below, even if it's just an emoji. It really, really helps my channel so much to grow, and I appreciate each and every one of you who's been doing that. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already part of my community. I would love to have you here. It also helps me to connect in with your energy when I'm preparing the readings, if you're part of my subscribers. So let's have a look. Let's get what crystal would best support. What crystal would best support to. Oh, we got a couple. Let's see. Both of these. Okay. So we've got Hedonite, Hidden Talent. Hedonite is a blend of green for the heart chakra and yellow ruling the solar plexus for personal power and self-esteem. Do you have a natural ability that gives you a sense of pride in your heart? Hedonite suggests that you no longer keep your talent hidden, but share it with the world. If you're called to do something, oh, I love that it said that one. I've been talking about calling, the Ace of Wands energy being there. Something you're feeling called to do, one thing, a certain talent that wants to shine, that wants to come through. Yeah, if you're being called to do something, trust that you will be supported by the universe. Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about with the fortune card. You will get the fortune. You will be supported by the universe. Things will flow to you, and by those who will be blessed by what you have to offer. And the affirmation is, I have the confidence to share my talent with the world and let it touch others. I love that. And then we've got dumortierite, which is metaphysical knowledge, which is also, I love how it's like this indigo white, sort of slightly sparkly energy, very similar to the card you selected and your flow card as well. So dumortierite activates the third eye for psychic ability. So some of you may be, this passion, this thing you're feeling called towards, this path you're feeling called towards. It could be, if not some sort of spiritual path, spiritual teaching, something like that. It could be, some kind of psychic work. So it activates the third eye for psychic ability and stimulates the cerebral cortex for mental awareness. Yes, what was I talking about? The stimulation of like the crown chakra, the third eye chakra at the beginning. There's something that's being stimulated and activated for you big time, yeah. When learning metaphysical subjects, e.g. astrology, tarot, numerology, crystals, chakras that require a combination of intuition, mental capacity, and memory retention, dumortierite can be of assistance. It awakens greater insight, enhances metaphysical understanding, and helps you retain information. And the affirmation is, I am able to comprehend metaphysical information and apply it to my life. Oh, I love that. That's very interesting. I'm being drawn back to this like King of Swords energy. It's like the combination between kind of using your mind and your mental faculties and your memory and like insight and all of that with that like feminine, intuitive, more sort of flowing, creative energy, like, spiritual energy that might be sort of channeling through you kind of thing. It's like finding that sort of partnership between both. To maybe like be able to kind of put your gift out, share that metaphysical knowledge, if that is something that you're passionate about, if that is something that you feel called towards. It's getting to a point where you're confident to follow the path that you choose, the path that you love, follow the path that you love, follow your bliss. It will be a fertile path that will lead to a lot of growth and fortune. If you're worried about it not, I feel like you will get fortune. It may not necessarily be the full 10 of Pentacles that you had on the path that you're on, if that's what you have been doing or trying for, but I feel like you'll certainly get a lot of like maybe time independence, location independence, or like time freedom, more time to yourself, things like that. Let's just a couple of ritual cards to finish off. Okay, let's see. Get a ritual card for pile number 2. What ritual can pile number 2 do to support them? We got card number 8 with connection. I nurture and nourish the connections that fill my cup. Okay. And rituals with support pile number 2. Presence, card number 30. I am at peace in the present moment. I feel like this is doing meditation, which I mentioned at the very beginning with this card when I was doing the channel messages. I felt strongly that in order to navigate this breakthrough and close out this cycle and feel clear on where you're being called to go, definitely doing meditation or some contemplation or mindfulness, connecting with that presence within, with your higher self, will really, really help. Let's just see if there's anything specific, any specific ritual that it suggests in relation to it, but I feel like it's kind of about yeah, it's kind of talking about mindfulness. Truly be in each moment. Where are you rushing, pushing, or overexerting yourself where you could instead opt for stillness? You're being guided to slow down, be present, and become an observer of your surroundings. Connect back to the moment with a 5 senses practice that you should repeat frequently across your day, tuning into all the sensations and sights around you. Name 5 things you can hear, you can smell, you can taste, you can touch, and you can see. You might be surprised by what you discover when you're truly present and in the moment without distraction. Take it all in. I feel like what's coming through from that is that your spirit team or your higher self may be trying to send you signs. And so by stopping and getting clear, going within, maybe going out in nature, and just being really, really mindful, you might start to see little signs out in nature that provide clarity as to like your next steps or like what wants to come through. With the connection card number 8, let's see what the ritual is for that one. So ponder the many things in your life that make you feel most connected, content, and yourself. Write a list of the 10 things that make you feel the most connected, then pick 2 things to really hone in on for the next month. They may be simple tasks such as phoning a friend weekly to foster outer connections or practicing yoga daily to honor self-connection. Yeah, I mean, certainly for some of you, it may be that, it's calling you to nourish the connections that fill your cup with people around you. But I feel very strongly for most of you, this is self-connection, connecting in with self, connecting in with your higher self, like I was talking about at the beginning, and with the meditation, connecting in with your spiritual self. Yeah, I feel like whatever it is, maybe write a list of like what things you need to do to connect in with that part of yourself, like what supports you to be able to honor your self-connection. Like, is it yoga? Is it meditation? Is it mindfulness? Is it some kind of spiritual practice? Is it something like tarot or astrology or certain metaphysical practices? Is it crystals? What is it that will help you connect in with yourself? I feel like there's a strong, especially if you're feeling really in this like 5 of Wands energy where you feel like there's a lot of inner conflict, by kind of like carving out time for like stillness and quiet contemplation and like allowing that kind of monkey mind and all those sort of competing parts of you that are clamoring to be heard, just sort of like, getting really still, getting really quiet, connecting with that like higher self, that higher presence within, that will allow you to like see more clearly, where to go, like what your emotions are telling you, like what your higher self is telling you. It will help you kind of navigate that conflict essentially by connecting with that presence within. So those are all the messages that I have for you, pile number 2. I hope that resonated for you and you received some support. As I mentioned before, if you like the video and comment below, that supports me so much. I so appreciate each and every one of you who's done that. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like to be part of the community. All the best with navigating your breakthrough, and wishing you all the love and support and everything from spirit to guide you through that. And I will see you in the next reading. All my love. Bye. Hi there, pile number 3. If you chose the Sacred Union, this will be your reading on the breakthrough that is coming for you. So pile number 3, I'm just going to start with some channel messages from this card. Then we're going to take a look at the tarot to have a look, first of all, at the cycle that's closing out, or what may be ending in your life to create a space for this breakthrough to come through. And then we'll take a look at a few more tarot cards underneath to see what the breakthrough is and what it may look like in your life, how it may be impacting you. And then we'll have a look at the oracle cards that I've pre-pulled for you to get some guidance. And we'll finish up with a crystal card and a ritual card, goddess ritual card, daily ritual card as well, to see what can support you through this breakthrough. So let's begin with the channel messages that are coming through. So what I feel like is coming through for you, the breakthrough that is coming through for you, is related to potentially manifesting a relationship, a soulmate, a divine counterpart, a twin flame, specific person, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is that you desire, some sort of relationship, some sort of romantic relationship. I feel like I feel like this is coming through because of the work that you've been doing on yourself with that beloved within. I feel like that work is creating the breakthrough. It's like your work that you've done to focus on yourself, on self-love, on self-care, on self-worth, on healing, on cultivating a relationship with that beloved within yourself and treating yourself as the beloved, seeing yourself as you would, or treating yourself as if you would want to be in a relationship, like how you would want the other person to see you, right? Because relationships are mirrors, right? So it's kind of like, you know, really working on your self-love, really working on, you know, treating yourself in a really beautiful way, like buying yourself flowers, or, you know, doing little things for yourself that are things that you may want a romantic partner to do for you. You know, little things like that. Like I'm just seeing, like maybe even taking yourself out on dates, or like, you know, getting more confident to kind of like do things that that bring you bliss, right? That are like kind of like, well, I don't really need a partner, you know, to do that. I'm going to do this for myself. Like I love myself, so I'm going to pursue that for myself, or I'm going to do that thing that I want to do regardless. And then it's kind of like you're that's creating like an energetic shift. That's creating a certain level of like kind of magnetism, because it's like you're in that vibration, you're in that energy. And if you don't feel like you've been doing that, then this could just be guidance that is the kind of energy or vibration to step into if this is something that you do want to manifest, if this is something you do, want for yourself, this union energy. There's a need to kind of like find that union within, to kind of like, what I'm hearing is like mate your soul. So it's like to meet your soul mate, you need to mate your soul. So it's like, you know, literally doing things that are like as if you're in a relationship with your own soul. In order to like find a soulmate, it's like you've got to be in relationship with your own inner soul, with your own inner being, with your own like yeah, that like beloved within. Like what does, you know, what does that look like? Like how would you like to be treated? Like what would you like to do? You know, what sort of activities, or, you know, certain things, and like actually doing those, actually carving out space for that soulmate to come in, because you're kind of enacting those kind of rituals, or those kind of, that kind of, you're stepping into that kind of energy. You know, say for example, you're someone who you really like being really treated really well, like with loads of like nice massage or something like that, you know, like really pampered kind of thing. It's like you would do that for yourself. It's like you would kind of mate your soul. You would be like, okay, my soul is needing some nurturance right now. My soul needs some TLC. Like I'm going to take some time out and like have a nice bath and like light some candles, and then give myself, you know, like create some nice aromatic oils, and like give myself a nice self massage, and then, you know, like maybe journal for a bit with my inner soul, and kind of ask, you know, how they're feeling and things like that. Because that's how, you know, you may want to be treated in a relationship. You may want your person to be like really caring, and you know, kind of make time for you, and kind of do little sweet rituals, like, yeah, like have a bath with you, or like give you a massage, or like ask you how you're feeling and things like that, like really nurture your soul. It may not be anything like that. It may be that you're more into like traveling and like, you know, doing something more adventurous, or doing certain hobbies or something like that together. And instead of like being in a position of like, oh, well, I can't do that because my you know, my person isn't showing up, and I would only do that if I was with them, or with that person, or with my ex, or, you know, or once I've met someone, like, you know, it's like, no, it's like, you're like, no, that's important to me. It's something I value. So I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to go on a trip myself. And you never know, you may be on the trip, you meet your soulmate, right? Or whatever it is. So this is kind of energy of like starting to live a life, and starting to live, you know, even small things day to day through to like bigger things, where you're living as if you're already with your beloved, as if you're already in that relationship, in that dream relationship, or that soulmate relationship, or whatever it might be. Because you're kind of treating yourself, you're kind of already cultivating a really strong relationship with your own self first, and a really loving and caring relationship with yourself. And that's setting that foundation for this person to come in. And for some of you, you'll be in different places with that. For some of you, I feel like you've already been doing that. So this breakthrough is very imminent, and it's kind of a sign that all the work you've been doing in regard to that is going to like just suddenly shift something. It's going to magnetize that person in. But others of you, if you don't feel like you've been doing that, that's the sign, right? That like the breakthrough will come once you're able to step into that kind of vibration. As if you know, it's like living in the wish fulfilled, right? As all the manifestation people talk about. Live in the wish fulfilled, feel it as if it's already here. Notice the like presence in your life as if like you're already in a relationship with yourself. And like if someone's going to come into your life, it's like they have to like, they would supplement that energy. They would kind of like pick up where you have already left off with yourself. You're not kind of like noticing a big gaping gap all the time of like, oh, there's just like no one in my life, and like, you know, there's no one here, and when am I going to meet someone, and like, oh, you know, which I don't really get the vibe that for many of you, you're in that energy. So I feel like for most of you, this is confirmation that what you've been working on, the focus on self-love, on self-care, on cultivating that like beloved within is going to bring about this person. But let's have a look at the tarot, and then we'll get into your other oracle cards. So let's look first of all, we'll start at the top with some cards for like what cycle is closing out or what's ending in your life. What's closing out? What cycle is closing out and ending? The Empress. Interesting. Okay. Oh. And we've got the Eight of Swords. Interesting. Pile 2 got Eight of Swords as well. Okay. Let's get a few more and then we'll read them all together. Ace of Wands. I feel like that wants to be in reverse. Five of Pentacles. Interesting. This is Five of Pentacles, but I'm feeling this almost more like a Five of Cups energy with the rose and the kind of the wilted rose and the petal falling. It's very like sad and disappointed. It's kind of like giving me Five of Cups vibes more than Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is more to do with like scarcity and, you know, it can be about like poverty or financial scarcity, or just can be, you know, scarcity mindset, generally speaking. Spiritual impoverishment, that kind of thing as well. But I don't know, I'm just getting a strong like Five of Cups vibe. Let's see if one more comes out. See if anything else. What's ending? Daughter of Pentacles. Okay. So I'm getting with this Ace of Wands in reverse. For some reason, I'm feeling this as like the chosen one, being chosen by your beloved or by a specific person or whatever it is, or just being chosen, maybe even by spirit. It's like there's a sense of there's a sense of like not being the one that's closing out. This could be like, yeah, with the Eight of Swords, this could be limiting beliefs in relation to like you not seeing yourself as worthy of being like the one, right? Being the beloved, being the chosen one, being, you know, maybe you've, with that Five of Pentacles energy, which I'm picking up as more of a Five of Cups energy, which can be about like emotional disappointment. Maybe you were in a situation in the past, either with this same person, if you have a specific person in mind, or with someone else, an ex or whatever it might be, who they didn't choose you in the end. Like maybe they you know, they broke up with you and committed to someone else or something, or you know, there might have been a bit of like two-timing or something like that. And it's like it made you feel like you're not the one. You're not the material to be like the one, with the Ace of Wands being in reverse. This is just intuitively what's coming through, what I'm channeling through with these cards. It's like, yeah, it's very sort of passion energy with this. It's like you may not have felt like someone was choosing, you may not have felt like worthy of being chosen for that passionate love, for that real like deep spiritual, you know, because wands can be about spiritual energy, and I did mention about like twin flames and divine counterparts and things. So it could be a sense of like, yeah, feeling very left, you know, the Five of Pentacles is very left out in the cold, very like you're not the chosen one, you're not, you know, maybe for those of you where this could be, say, a twin flame situation, you might have been in separation for a long time and they chose a karmic partner or whatever. I'm not going to go into that whole thing because it's like a whole thing. And I don't want to encourage comments about like, oh, the twin flame thing is a little rubbish, because there are people in the twin flame journey, but I don't want to go into it all. So let's just, if you are on that, you can read it for that. If you're not, just read it for something else, for soulmate, for specific person, whatever. You know, if you're on it, you know you're on it. If you're not, you know you're not. And that's cool. But what's coming through is if you're in some kind of situation where like you felt that someone was like meant for you, for example, you felt a very strong divine counterpart kind of energy, like this is my person, this is like they are my chosen one, I'm their chosen one kind of thing, we're meant to be together. And then something happened, you got left out in the cold, you got, you know, this rose of love, which is normally like rose is symbolic of love, right? And romance, it's like it's wilting, it's dying, it's like it didn't pan out, it didn't work out, it died. The person chose someone else, or they pulled away, or they, you know, you went into separation, or they cut contact, or whatever it might be. You were kind of left out in the cold, and you felt as a result, you created a limiting belief that said, I am not worthy of love, or I'm not worthy of passion, of romance, of being the chosen one, I'm not the one, because maybe, yeah, they chose someone else. And so you created this sort of meaning around that. You created a limiting belief around that. With the Empress card here, I feel like this is very interesting as a cycle that's closing. I actually feel this more is an energy that you're stepping into being like embodying this Empress energy, embodying that energy of like receptivity, of like sort of divine feminine sovereignty. You know, the Empress is like all four queens wound into one kind of thing. So you have all the power and sovereignty of the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles. And I'm just, yeah, I'm kind of getting this actually as like the Eight of Swords, limiting beliefs and like negative self-talk around not being picked to be, not being chosen to be this, like the Empress, like to your emperor or to your divine counterpart, not being chosen to be like the queen, the chosen one, the beloved. But that's closing out. It's like that cycle, this cycle is coming to an end. This cycle, that's not to say, I don't want to give any sense of like, because this isn't really like, it's not a twin flame reading, and it's not really like a romance reading. So I don't want to kind of say like, oh, well, you know, that person that didn't choose you, that exact same person is coming back. It may not be that exact same person. It may be, but it may not be. But it's just that energy, that like the limiting beliefs around you not being chosen, which may have then like played out in other relationships. You may have pushed other people away subconsciously, or just felt like you're never you're never chosen, or you never will be chosen. And I feel like that is closing out, where you're not seeing yourself to be like the Empress. You're not seeing yourself as the chosen one. You're feeling left out in the cold. Daughter of Pentacles, this is Page of Pentacles energy. Not seeing yourself as worthy of being invested in. I'm getting with that Page of Pentacles, it's like maybe that person, maybe this person, maybe if this was someone in the past, they showed up in that Page energy. And they couldn't, you know, they weren't in that King energy. They weren't ready to commit. They weren't ready to kind of like choose you for life sort of thing. It was like there was some other lessons they needed to learn, right? Or there was some other karmic situation or whatever it might be that they needed to go through. they couldn't commit. They couldn't fully go the full way. It's like page energy is a bit like, it's curious, it's eager, it's like playful, it's quite young, immature energy. It doesn't have the action taking capability of the knight, and it hasn't like matured into like the responsibility and sovereignty and maturity of a king or a queen. It's just this daughter energy is very, it's very young. So maybe for some of you, this could have happened when you were very young, this meeting this person, whether it was a twin flame or just a past partner who maybe, you know, they chose someone else or whatever it may be, and you ended up feeling left out in the cold. You ended up feeling like just not the chosen one. You formed all these limiting beliefs around like, not being the one, not being sort of the queen, the chosen one, the one that's worthy of passion and love and romantic love and investment. It's like, no, you created a story around it. You created it to mean certain things about you. And I feel like actually what I'm seeing with this Eight of Swords here, the way the sword is holding the butterfly chrysalis above all the other swords, it's like you were pulled out of a situation for a reason. It's like it was actually divine protection. So even though you may have caused that to mean like, oh well, I'm not the chosen one, like maybe that wasn't my twin flame, or maybe that wasn't my divine counterpart, like, or like, you know, they chose someone else, so like now, you know, I'm just going to be alone forever, or whatever it is. Whatever it is that you kind of then determined about that situation, like actually it was kind of divine protection, because I do feel like this person was, maybe you both were, but I feel like this person was kind of showing up in a perhaps more immature energy. Let's get a clarify for that. They were showing up in more of a, like they weren't ready to invest. And so like you were actually pulled out of that situation to protect you. Even though it was quite like, made you feel really left out in the cold and out in the dark. And like, it was emotionally upsetting, disappointing. Why is this Daughter of Pentacles? Oh, yes, the Tower. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, so this could well have been something where you actually started something with this person, whether it was a twin flame or a past partner, even someone you were potentially even married to or something. And there was some abrupt end, some unforeseen, like unexpected ending, something that, kind of happened very suddenly. Like maybe you were about to move in together and then they pulled out or something like that. Like it's kind of like the Tower is usually about some sort of foundation, something that you've kind of like been planning on or hoping for, and maybe you have a sense that it isn't necessarily going to work out, but we tend to like, the Tower tends to come in and like pull that rug out from under our feet, right? When it's like we're not ready to kind of really examine it and be like, hold on a minute, maybe this isn't right for me. And then often a Tower will happen where it's like, okay, that was something that was being built on a foundation that wasn't strong enough to sustain it. It's like that person wasn't kind of mature enough yet, or you both weren't mature enough, or, you know, whatever it may be, it wasn't the timing or something, or it wasn't the right person even to have that type of relationship with. And so it ended maybe very abruptly. It's like the little bit of investment that they did make, or the little bit of foundation you did create, it got like, it just got knocked down. It got pulled away by spirit. I feel like it's like you got pulled again. It's like you got pulled up and out. I just realized the battery is about to die. Sorry, pile 3. Okay. Yeah, it's like you got pulled out of a situation that would have been even worse potentially if you had stayed in it. But I think what that's meant is that you've created a bunch of limiting beliefs about what that meant about you as a person and about your worthiness. You know, the Empress is like very worthy energy. She like really knows her worth. She knows her value. She's very magnetic. It's like she doesn't chase, she attracts kind of thing. And with that being connected with this limiting belief card, and a cycle that's closing out. It's like you not seeing yourself as the Empress, you not seeing yourself as the chosen one. That is ending. That is something that you've been working through. You've been healing. You've been closing out from whatever that tower situation was, whether it was a twin flame, whether it was an ex-husband or wife or committed partner, someone you were living with, someone you were dating, could have even been someone at high school even, but just like a really impactful first love or first romance or something that created a kind of a lot of feelings of inadequacy and low self-worth, or like feelings of rejection, like you won't be chosen. Let's get a look at what is the breakthrough that's coming. What is the breakthrough that's coming? Father of Swords, which is King of Swords. Okay, the owl being here, symbolizing wisdom. I'm kind of getting, this could be a person coming in. This could be the divine counterpart, could be in that King of Swords, Father of Swords energy, which is like king energy, right? Whereas before we had that daughter energy or page energy from this past situation that had the tower moment, and now there's the breakthrough that's coming is this king energy. This very sovereign, very like, yeah, really showing up, very powerful energy, and they're looking like straight at you. Let's see. Whoa, 10. Oh my gosh, 9 of Cups. Oh yeah, I love this. 9 of Cups energy. This is like self-fulfillment, self-love, independence, like feeling good on your own, filling your cup up with like a number of different things in your life, which is kind of what I was talking about a bit at the beginning when I was channeling. It's like, you know, it's like you have things that you do that might be the kind of things you would do in a relationship, but you're just doing them for yourself. You're like, yeah, I do my hobbies and I have my work and I have my friends and I have my self-care rituals and I go traveling myself. And it's like you're kind of filling your cup up with things. You're not waiting, you're not seeing a gap. You're not waiting for someone else to come and fill that for you. You're not feeling left out in the cold so much. You're kind of just going ahead with your life anyway, which is the breakthrough really that allows a kind of union or a relationship to come in on the outer. If that's what you even want, you might find that like you get to a point where you're so happy on your own, you're so happy being independent and doing your own thing, you just don't really feel like you need it anymore, which is by the way the right time for someone to come in, because that will always be when you magnetize it, when you're in the Empress energy of like, I don't need, I just attract. But let's see what the Devil in reverse. Yeah, the devil can be like things that we're attached to, things that limiting beliefs as well, like negative self-talk that we kind of like keep perpetuating, like cycles, negative cycles we keep perpetuating, addictions potentially, but I'm not really getting that very strongly with this. I'm kind of more strongly picking up that this is like, with it being in reverse, it's like letting go of, you know, these scarcity thoughts, letting go of these like low self-worth, like, oh, I'm not worthy of romance, I'm not worthy of my beloved, I'm not worthy of that person. If it is a specific person you're waiting to come back in, or a twin flame you're waiting to come in, it's like, nah, like I'm going after my best life. Like I'm following what fills me up. I'm focusing on my self-love and my self-care and what fills me up. It's like I'm not attached anymore to like being in that kind of waiting energy or that scarcity energy, focusing on what I don't have, what I've lost. Yeah, it's like it's not torturing you anymore. Maybe this situation, if it was like a breakup or that person pulled away or a separation or an ending, it's like it's not keeping you bound anymore. You know, in the traditional tarot, traditional Rider-Waite deck, it shows, the Devil card shows like two figures, a man and woman, being like, they're shackled to this like devil character. It's like you're not shackled anymore by anyone, by a specific person, or by a desire for a specific person, or that energy of attachment and need and scarcity, and like focus on the sort of the lack and the like, you know, why did they leave me, or like whatever the limiting beliefs were Like, why did they choose this other person? You know, sort of that fixation energy. It's like a fixation. It's like the breakthrough is that you're not fixated on that person anymore. It's not to say like they were the devil or in the devil energy. I do kind of pick up a bit of a like, maybe they were a bit immature, but it's not to say they were necessary. I don't know. I mean, it'll be different for all of you. And maybe for some of you that, depending on what this was, for some of you, it could be where there may have been someone who, like, yeah, there was a third party situation, for example, and they chose someone else. Like they were dating you and then they met someone else or something like that. So there may have been a bit of a like, like, I don't know, I guess I'm sort of seeing that you may have perceived them as a bit of a like a devil, you know, or kind of like bad person or something like that. And it's like you're kind of moving on from that. You're releasing that. You're not attached. You're not shackled to them. You're not fixated on them anymore or upset about losing them. You're kind of like see them for like, well, hey, like, you know, you're embracing this Empress energy. You're like, well, if you didn't see me as the queen, then like that's your loss. Like, you know, like I'm all that. Nine of Cups energy. Like I'm all that. I've got things in my life that fill me up. I've got other people who see my worth, and you know, I don't need this one person, my ex or whoever it was, specific person, someone you dated, someone you were living with, a twin flame, whatever it was. It's like I don't need. It's like you're not shackled to that anymore. You're not attached to them, whether they were kind of bad or did something bad or not. But I feel like more for most of you, it wasn't necessarily something they kind of deliberately or maliciously did. It might have just been a situation where it just wasn't the right timing, or it wasn't really mature. Maybe for some of you, it was a bit of a like, you know, there was some gameplay going on or something bad going on. But for most of you, I kind of just feel like it was like you were lifted out of a situation where it was like it wasn't really the right timing, or it wasn't the right foundation at that point in time. Let's get a little bit more. What is the breakthrough? Can we get a bit more about what this breakthrough is going to look like for pile 3? What is this breakthrough going to look like? The Hermit. Yeah, going within, maybe carving out more time with that Nine of Cups energy to yeah, that beloved within, to in a relationships, like cultivate the relationship with your higher self, with your spiritual self. Maybe having more time on your own and enjoying time on your own, hermiting a bit, just like taking time out. Finding illumination from within. Also with that Tortoise energy, I'm kind of getting just like taking things slow, you know, like maybe if you are dating, considering other options with that Nine of Cups, you know, you might be like not in any serious thing. You might just be like, yeah, I'm focused on myself, but I'm kind of considering, you know, going on a few dates here and there. But you're like taking your time with it, with that Hermit energy and the Tortoise. It's like you're doing it, you're going slow, you're listening to yourself, you're taking time to like fill your cup up and to like, you know, assess, be very like, this could be you actually being, now that I'm seeing this in context of these other cards, this Father of Swords energy, this could be like you, like especially the fact that it's in this deck, it's called the Father, not the King of Swords. It's like you being a father type to yourself. Like if you are dating, it's like you're now in a position where you're being protective over yourself and your time and your energy, and you're like, you know, being very wise and very careful and very discerning about like who you let in. You're like, no more time for like these devil types, these like people who waste my time or who like aren't going to commit, or who aren't going to choose me, who aren't going to see me as the Empress that I am. It's like, no, I've got, it's like you've got this like inner father figure who's protecting you and looking out for you, and protecting your like independence and your time and your energy and your emotional self. You know, we've got with this tortoise shell, it's like, yeah, you've got this protective shell around you now. So yeah, maybe for some of you this could have been quite a painful ending, a painful relationship. Maybe there was a bit of like, I did pick up maybe someone who was a bit of a player. Maybe it won't be for all of you though, but for those who did go through something like that, I feel like you're being a lot more discerning. It's like you're stepping into this King of Swords energy, this very like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna suss the situation out. It's like they're watchful. They're like, it's like a beady eye. They're like, hold on a minute, who is this person really? I'm gonna wait to get to know them and like suss it out before, you know, I get attached, with that Devil being in reverse. It's like you're not attaching to anyone or anything. We've got the 9 of Wands. I feel like that came out in reverse and it wants to stay in reverse. 9 of Wands in reverse. Releasing the battle, releasing the burdens, releasing the struggle. I'm also seeing like that this pathway with these wands, it's like they're all, ooh, oopsie, sorry, 1 second, phone battery just unplugged again. Ugh. Right. Okay. Sorry about that, pile 3. Okay, so yeah, this I'm seeing this like pathway with these like, it's like really prickly kind of difficult logs that are kind of blocking the path almost. So it's like all this, it's like it's a difficult path, it's a struggle, there's too many things in the way, there's too many kind of blocks in the way, and I feel like you're letting that go in favor of kind of like ease and clarity and like listening to your inner self with that Hermit card there. It's like you're not going to just push through and try and struggle up a certain path just because, you know, whatever, it's your specific person or a twin flame or whatever it is. You're just like releasing that attachment to that, releasing attachment to the struggle, releasing the struggle. Let's see a bit more. What is the breakthrough? What is the breakthrough coming? Mother of Wands. Yeah, you're protecting your creative energy. I feel like Queen of Wands energy. You know, with this snake kind of over the eggs. The way she's kind of coiled around the eggs. It's like there's something that wants to be birthed through you. There's certain maybe creative ideas or things that want to be birthed through you, and it's like there's a need to kind of like protect your energy so that you can do that. It's like, yeah, maybe taking the focus off you know, the other person, or you know, the kind of the romance showing up in a certain way, and like focusing on your independence, your own emotional fulfillment, on what lights you up and what fills you up, and like, yeah, just kind of being very protective of your energy, being in this hermit mode of like listening to yourself, taking things slowly, taking time out from other people maybe, or other connections, so that you can like connect with your inner self, with your creative self, so that you can birth certain things, certain projects, or certain things that want to be birthed through you. You can actually devote the time and attention and energy to those. I feel one more, and then we'll move on to the other cards. Final card. What is the breakthrough for pile? 9 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, an end to the anxiety, an end to the like the pain. I feel like I'm also getting, I've said this before in a previous reading, I see this 9 of Swords almost a bit like a 10 of Swords because of all the kind of the death and the decay. It's like something, that tower situation, that thing that ended, that created that sort of disappointment and a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, I feel like that's releasing now. It's releasing. It's like fully, it's fully releasing its like grip on you. You know, with that devil energy, that does talk about, it can talk about being shackled to something or being really held in the grip of something. And I feel like there was a lot of pain and anxiety, a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of like sort of almost like self-blame or low self-worth. A lot of like, it's like it left its mark on you in a way, created a lot of anxiety. This could be quite a recent situation maybe, or it doesn't even have to be. This could be, it could be quite a while ago, but it's still just like had such an imprint on your life. It was such a significant Tower moment, so deeply emotionally disappointed, especially if it was divine counterpart or twin flame. That can be very intense. Those types of connections are very intense, but often actually they're not really meant, not to go down a whole twin flame rabbit hole, but briefly what's coming through is that type of connection isn't necessarily meant to end up being playing out like a romantic, committed, kind of normal type of relationship in the way that we, you know, you see in like culture. It's often meant as an activation to ignite and activate and initiate you onto your spiritual path and your spiritual calling, which could be why there's this like hermit energy here for a start, and there's Mother of Wands energy here, which is like coming into that like creative sovereignty, that creative power where you're like, you're birthing something, or you're, you know, Wands energy, like I said, is spiritual energy. There's something spiritual that wants to be birthed through you, or something creative that wants to be birthed through you. And there's a need to be very protective of that. It could be that it's coming out over the Tower card as well. It could be that you know, initiation, that relationship came in and like activated you, initiated you, yeah, woke that part of you up, and now there's like a need to kind of like, yeah, you're kind of releasing the attachment to the person or to the relationship, looking like, you know, playing out in a certain way, to a certain, you know, attachment to a certain outcome, finding happiness on your own, going through a more sort of hermit energy, releasing the struggle, protecting your energy, protecting, you know, your creative energy, protecting your sexual energy as well. This can be Wands energy, can be sexual energy. So it could be like, yeah, being very protective. As I spoke about the Father of Swords, like being very like protective over yourself, being very discerning about who you're with, who you give your time and energy to, or your sexual energy to, right? And then, yeah, Nine of Swords in reverse. It's like you're letting go of all the pain, all the anxiety that was caused by this person, this situation, this dynamic, this relationship, this breakup, whatever it was. It's like you're releasing that. I'm also just noticing the eyeballs are sticking out really strongly. It's like you're seeing something more clearly. I feel like maybe you're seeing this connection through a different lens. You're kind of accepting it for what it was, or like seeing that it was there to kind of maybe initiate you into like finding your self-worth as well. Because sometimes, right, we can be in, I've spoken about this in previous readings and on my Patreon about, you know, particularly if it was a very toxic connection or very painful connection, or there was some kind of betrayal or something like that. It's like quite often those kind of very painful relationships are something that our soul chooses to experience before we incarnate, because it's something that our soul needs in this particular incarnation, in this lifetime, to learn very deep lessons around self-love and self-worth. Certain spiritual lessons, certain lessons about, valuing ourselves, valuing our time, valuing our energy, all of that. And it may be that we attract a situation, sometimes we attract a situation that is the opposite of that, that creates a lot of pain and anxiety, to bring that to light, where we haven't been, you know, seeing ourselves as this kind of Empress, in this Empress energy, like where we haven't been seeing ourselves as worthy, where we have been in this kind of scarcity mindset around ourselves, where we've been feeling like not really truly worthy of love, because, you know, and also that's very subconscious, right? It's like on a conscious level, you could be like, yeah, like I'm ready for union, I'm ready for you know, a partner to come in. You know, consciously you feel like you're ready for love, but subconsciously there's something that like doesn't really ultimately feel worthy. So even if you attracted someone in, it might have like, it didn't really sustain. Like this tower situation happened because it's like it ultimately subconsciously you didn't feel really worthy of love or of connection or whatever it was. And so it kind of you know, relationships are a reflection of our inner state. And so it just reflected back to you like, oh, okay, actually I have a lot of healing to do, I have a lot of work to do to, like, you know, step into this Empress energy, to feel worthy, to feel truly like I can sustain a relationship, to not attract these kind of people in this, like, you know, devil energy, or like who have malicious intentions, or like maybe not even malicious intentions, but just who aren't very well intentioned towards me, kind of thing, who maybe don't have my best interests at heart, like they're kind of maybe more selfishly inclined, or a bit immature, or whatever it might be. So yeah, this is very sort of like protective energy coming in, which I love. But like, yeah, it is going to manifest if you are kind of still in that energy of feeling a bit attached to wanting an outcome, to like whether you want it with a specific person, a relationship with a specific person, or just open to anyone coming in. Then I feel like the more you can step into this like beloved within energy, the quicker you can step into that, and into that like embracing that 9 of Cups, like being independent and finding your fulfillment from within, the quicker it will manifest on the outside. But there's still a bit of like, for some of you, this 9 of Swords, this is something that is going to be a breakthrough. So this is coming for you, but it may be that this is the energy you're still in, of a lot of anxiety and fear, and worries, and like, you know, pain around that situation. So let's go to the oracle cards that I've pre-pulled, and then we'll finish up with the crystal and ritual cards. So we have got let's save that one there. We have got absence. Yes, yeah, I feel that. For some of you, you'll maybe really noticing the absence of, whether that is a specific person you've broken up with, so it could be an ex, or a twin flame, or something that you're in separation from. You could have previously been quite fixated on it, with that devil energy being there. It could have been quite a, like, yeah, quite a gripping energy, quite a strong energy. Like really noticing the absence of something or someone. But what I'm being shown is, again, this, like, with this 8 of Swords energy, it's like that absence needed to happen. You needed to be pulled away from that person or that situation, or they needed to be pulled away. Because you were being protected. I didn't speak about it before, but with this butterfly chrysalis, this is like, you know, butterflies are symbolic of transformation, right? They go from the caterpillar self. It's kind of like symbolic of the spiritual transformation, really, because the caterpillar self is like the muggle self, right? Like the ego self, the kind of the human self before it's gone through an awakening. And then you go through this, like, the chrysalis, where the ego identity breaks down, which is like the caterpillar self kind of literally dissolves and like turns into, it has the liminal cells of the butterfly already within it, and then it grows out of the dissolution of the caterpillar. So out of the dissolution of the ego self, of the old identity, grows the new butterfly. And it's like, again, I'm kind of getting, for some of you where this was potentially a twin flame thing, that was an activation, like meeting them and then having that sudden ending, or that sudden departure, or whatever it was that happened. Was like an initiation, and you were suddenly pulled above, pulled away, put into this like hermit stage, so that you could go through your spiritual awakening, and become this butterfly self. You could go through that transformation. So that absence, like, it's like it was destined to happen and needed to happen. That, like, having this time out from either that person, or from any relationship, any sort of romantic relationship. It's like you needed this period of absence to kind of like to go through that awakening process, to find the beloved within you. It's like not to kind of fixate on that, like with that devil energy, the fixation, not to fixate on the absence on the outside, but to start to focus the energy within with that hermit energy, to feel the presence of the beloved within you. And then we've got the sun with card number 1, which is very beautiful, like fertile, optimistic energy. It's like this card talks about like blessings coming to you, new beginning potentially coming to you. I'm kind of noticing the lotus flowers in particular on this card. So it's like this figure kind of rising up out of the water. Lotuses grow up from like really muddy, murky conditions. And then that like murkiness really like acts as like a fertilizer for their like growth and their beauty to then like blossom on the surface. So I feel like, yeah, this is kind of saying that whatever that connection was, that like painful situation or disappointing energy, or you know, that tower situation that happened, it's like it was all an initiation to give you that like fertile, that like, yeah, that fertile energy to kind of grow through something really painful so that you could kind of really bloom and blossom on top. And also there's a lot of like creative, you know, we've got like this very creative fertile energy here with the book and the paintbrushes and the baby and the, I don't know what instrument that is, trombone or something, some kind of musical instrument. And I was speaking about some kind of creative birth, or some kind of maybe like a spiritual project or a spiritual birth that wants to be birthed within you. So it's like this absence of this person is kind of allowing time for some other things to grow in your life. There's some creative passions, for some spiritual passions to kind of grow. And I'm being shown La La Land, the film La La Land with Ryan Gosling and Lindsay Lohan. Is it Lindsay Lohan? Nope, not Lindsay Lohan. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Anyway, someone will probably comment below, but hopefully you know the film I'm talking about. It came out like maybe 10 years ago or something. And in that film, that's a very twin flamey film actually, in a way, like not officially, but kind of is. In the sense that it's like two people come together and they have this like kind of like mystical connection, and it's like, you know, they're kind of in a romantic relationship, but then one of them leaves, and then as a result of that connection actually breaking apart, they have all this time to like work on their creative dreams, and both of them really blossom in their creative lives. Both characters like just their careers take off in different ways, and they do all these creations, and it probably like got initiated from in a way from their connection. But it needed that absence of that person for them to actually kind of like fully, what's the word? To fully actualize, to fully self-actualize. It needed then for that tower situation to happen where they got pulled away so they could hermit and kind of do their own thing. And then one of the characters, then she goes and like, you know, she finds someone else and she's happy. So it's not to say like, it can't be that you would ever end up with that person if that's what you're really wanting to manifest. I'm not saying, this isn't really about that. I'm not saying that's not possible or anything, but it's like fixating on that outcome with the devil being in reverse here is not really going to allow the like blessings and things that are the things that like the universe wants to give you, the blessings that are here to come through. It's like that's not going to be able to come through for as long as you're like fixated on a specific outcome with a specific person and really attached, really, really emotionally and energetically attached to that happening. It's like you need to kind of let go and allow the universe to like bring through these blessings to you. And that may include that person coming back in, or it may include a new person and some new situation coming in. For some of you, I'm seeing with the baby there, this could be that you end up perhaps creating a family. But I'm reading this more as like a creative fertility. It's like you have the opportunity to kind of like find other things that fulfill you, follow, you know, find things that you love doing, birth those creative projects you're called to birth. And then finally, we've got stillness. Yeah, I love that. It's very like the Hermit card, finding that stillness, finding that peace, finding that serenity. Taking time out to like really listen to yourself. listen to that inner wisdom. I'm just noticing all the, it looks like, is that like ice or like, yeah, it's kind of like ice around the outside. I'm kind of seeing Frozen, the film Frozen, the whole Elsa, let it go, let it go. There's something to release here, something to let go, to get really still. And yeah, I feel like it's this kind of this Nine of Swords energy about that tower situation. Let go of the pain, let go of the, you know, the limiting beliefs about that situation, about yourself that you created as a result of that situation. Let's read the from the Rose Oracle, the Sacred Union card. Okay, relationships are how we grow. They cradle and stretch us through connection and division, love and hurt, compassion and separation. They invite us to return again and again to the most important relationship we'll ever have, the one with ourself, the sacred union that's been waiting within. Ancient mystery teachings whisper secrets of sacred unions, Eros Gamos, sacred marriage, and early Christian mysticism and Kabbalah, sexual alchemy, and ancient Egyptian teachings, and Yab-Yum, father-mother, in Tibetan Buddhism. We're familiar with mystic couples such as Isis and Osiris, but we each have the sacred masculine and feminine within. And sacred union through external relationship is always an invitation to deepen the union within. Every relationship can be seen as an invitation to deepen connection with the beloved within, even our most challenging relationships, especially the most challenging ones. Yeah, I feel like for many of you, this is sort of, this is like the path now. The breakthrough now is like having that relationship with yourself, with you as the number one, putting yourself first off the back of like maybe a challenging connection or challenging relationship with someone else potentially. The sacred union isn't just between you and another, it's returning to yourself. And when we return to ourselves, we also return to humanity as a whole. Maybe you're being invited to grow through relationships. Perhaps you feel like you're being tested or stretched or find yourself longing for something external. This is an invitation to deepen the connection within, to embrace yourself fully and treat yourself like the most precious person on the planet. That's exactly what I was kind of channeling at the very beginning with this card. Like, treat yourself as precious, treat yourself as cherished, treat yourself as, yeah, the number one, the biggest priority, the most important person, whatever, however you'd like to be treated by someone else, treat yourself like that. The more embraced you feel, the easier it is to embrace others. And the soul inquiry is, how can you embrace yourself more? Yes, I love that. Okay, so let's get some, I'll get a crystal card and a ritual card to finish up. So while I'm shuffling this, if I can just ask you guys if this reading has resonated at all, to comment below, or just even leave me an emoji, hit the like button. It really helps my channel to grow so much, and I really appreciate each and every one of you who's been doing that. Also hit the subscribe button as well, to be part of the community here. It really helps me to connect with your energy when I'm beginning the reading. So we've got yellow jasper, be in the present moment. Do you find yourself worrying about the future and preoccupied with the past? Yellow jasper is the color of joy and lightheartedness and advises you to be in the present moment. The past has no power over you, and your future is being created from the moments happening right now. Choose to be joyful and see the good in any situation. Not only will your present moments be more enjoyable, but you will also be creating a more optimal future. And the affirmation is, I choose to be in the present moment with positive thoughts. I love that. Very like the yellowy color is similar to the goldy kind of colors coming through with this sun card. Let's get one more. Can we get one more, please, Spirit? Get one more card. Oh, got two more. Okay. Budstone, start something new. Sometimes we hold ourselves back because we're afraid to start something new. Is it the right thing to do? Will it be successful? Do we have what it takes? Budstone helps you to start and let it unfold. You don't have to know exactly how to do it before you begin. You'll learn as you go. Budstone encourages you to plant the seed, let it germinate, water it, and watch it grow. And the affirmation is, I enjoy the process of starting something new and gaining experience as I go. Yeah, I feel like this is connected to this Mother of Wands card. There's something here that wants to be birthed through you, and there may be something new that you're being called to start, that you maybe, yeah, it could be something creative here, as I spoke about with the Sun card. It could be a book or painting or something music, related to music. So, and you may have been holding yourself back, and it may be that like, yeah, there's a need to kind of be in this more hermit energy so you can focus on this project or on your sort of creative gifts or your creative passions, on other things that bring you emotional fulfillment. And then we've got Sugalite with spiritual protection. Sugalite awakens the crown chakra and activates the violent flame of transmutation and spiritual protection. When you wear or carry Sugalite, it sets up a shield of light that clears negative debris, making it difficult for lower entities from the astral realm to remain in your auric field. Sugarlight benefits people with anxiety and paranoia because it releases the darker energy and grounds the soul back into present-day reality. Yeah, that's that Nine of Swords energy. So this could be if you're still finding yourself feeling very anxious, particularly about do you find yourself worrying about the future? So yeah, maybe you are with that devil energy being there. This is something that you're breaking through, is like being very attached to like a certain vision of the future, worrying about when it's going to happen, when this person's going to come back, or when you're going to meet someone, or how things are going to evolve for you, or when you're ever going to heal from this situation, or whatever it might be that you're really stressing about. Sugarlight could be a good crystal to work with to shield that, shield your mind from that sort of anxiety, and keep you grounded. And the affirmation is, I surround myself with a violet flame of spiritual protection, keeping me safe and my energy high. Beautiful. Okay, and let's get a ritual card to finish up with. We've got a daily ritual for pile 3. What would support pile 3 through this? Whoa, we've got a lot. Okay, so gratitude card number 15. I pause for a moment of gratitude for the many blessings in my life. So yeah, practicing gratitude, doing that kind of, I've talked about this before on my channel, the pay it forward gratitude thing, where you feel grateful in advance for the things that you want to bring into your life, like feeling that energy of gratitude first. It helps to then magnetize those things in. I've got a lot here. I don't think I'm going to take all of these. Let me just see. We've got feeling this one. Card number 21, Luna. I honor the sacred flow and rhythms of the feminine. And I'm feeling this one. Card number 24, manifestation. With the help of the universe, I co-create my dream life. Yeah, connecting with the rhythms of the moon. With that feminine, it's that Empress energy again. It's something that may have been, it may have been quite difficult for you to kind of like embrace that feminine energy after this situation happened. So yeah, it's kind of like re-embracing your feminine energy, that receptive energy, being in the flow. All piles actually had this consistent to them. There was something around like stepping into feminine energy more from all 3 piles and going with the flow more, allowing the flow of, trusting your intuition, allowing things to flow to you rather than kind of being in that sort of striving energy, honoring the rhythms of your body and all of that. So yeah, I feel like that's part of this, with this 9 of Cups energy, and we were talking about sort of self-care and self-acceptance and honoring your body and honoring the rhythms of your energy and all of that. That's all kind of part of like cultivating that like relationship within. A manifestation. With the help of the universe, I co-create my dream life. I feel like if there is something or someone that you want to manifest in, this is kind of a sign that is like saying you can have your dream life, you can have the things that you desire. But there may be a need just to like have some time out first, have some like time to hermit, have some time to like go within and like heal from something, release any kind of negativity and anxiety and like limiting beliefs that were created as a result of this past connection, to nurture yourself. Mother of Wands energy. This is very like nurturing energy. Nurture your creativity, nurture your spiritual side, nurture your intuition, nurture your spirituality. And I feel like as a result of cultivating that relationship with yourself, the dream life that you have in mind, you will be able to manifest that. Let me just see if there's a specific actual ritual you can do with this. Today's the day to detach from doubts, expectations, and time limits. Yeah, that I did feel that a little bit with that, like devil being in reverse there, as something that you're breaking through, as like an attachment to like needing to see something happen by a certain time. You might have a certain like fears and anxieties and doubts about like, oh, if I don't meet someone by this day or by this time or by this age or whatever, like you know, it means this or that. And it's like you're detaching from that, you're releasing those fears. So yeah, today's the day to detach from doubts, expectations, and time limits and start a manifestation process. Create a vision board, write your goals in a diary, or create to-dos for the month ahead. There are 4 stages of manifestation: asking or declaring what you want to the universe, alignment and visualization, or seeing your desires as if they have already manifested. That's that gratitude thing again, like feeling grateful for the things that you want in your life in advance. Or taking inspired steps to cultivate what it is you desire, and then attainment, or stepping out of your own way to receive from the universe. That's that feminine energy, being in a state of receptivity, that Empress energy, like knowing that you are worthy of what it is that you desire, that you're not going to be like left out, that you are the chosen one because you have chosen you, right? Like you have chosen yourself. You have like cultivated that beloved from within. So therefore, like as within, so without, as above, so below, it will then manifest for you. Okay, my loves, I hope that resonated for you as I requested. Drop me a comment below, it really helps me. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I would love to have you here. All the best with this breakthrough. All my love, sending you goddess blessings and all my love, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye.